Chapter 375. The Tao that Fa Wuxian comprehended was the battle Tao. He was best at fighting, and he wanted to become a battle saint. During the fight for Buzhou Palace, he had used the battle word when he fought with Liu Baiwei. But at that time, his realm wasn't high, and he hadn't cultivated his dermic powers. The battle word that he used was a transformation of his Yuan Shun and earth energy, and its strength was far from what it was now. Now, he was at the 22 changes of Tao realm, phenomenon of heaven and earth. He could transform into anything in the world, and the battle word that he formed was the essence of battle. The large Dou character suddenly released a bright light. Boundless killing intent and battle chi stirred up the will of countless battles and battles that had occurred since ancient times. He seemed to have obtained the support of the battle energy of heaven and earth and was fighting back. You want to run out? How is that possible? Today, I will let you know that it is easy for a natural saint to fall, and it isn't always smooth sailing. Since ancient times, there have been natural saints who have fallen. Jing Xiu was prepared for Fa Wuxian's counterattack. Even Gu Chansha could guess that Fa Wuxian would counterattack, so how could Jing Xiu not? Kill! Jing Xiu's hands changed once more, and the 36 clones merged into one. His body instantly turned into a gourd. This gourd contained Khanate killing energy. Celestial slaying God flying knife. Gu Chansha was shocked. Jing Xiu's transformation had turned himself into the top killing weapon in the world. This meant that Jing Xiu had comprehended this treasure before. At this moment, the treasure was in the hands of the 3 heaven venerables, and even they couldn't casually use it. Otherwise, they would suffer the backlash of the Khanate killing energy, and it would be hard to control. Although Gu Chansha had comprehended this treasure, it was condensed from the heavenly demon tree and not the real thing. It was just a replica and couldn't be compared to the real thing. As for the gourd that Jing Xiu had transformed into, its aura and killing intent far surpassed that of the treasure condensed on the heavenly demon tree. From this, it could be seen that he had likely made a deal with the 3 Empyreans and seen the true treasure. Then, after perceiving its mysteries, he was able to comprehend this transformation. After the Tao realm, 22 transformations, astronomical phenomenon, one could transform one's body into various treasures of varying strength. As for the treasure that Jing Xiu had transformed into, there was no doubt that its offensive power was the greatest. His intention to kill Fa Wuxian was aroused. Gu Chansha was well-versed in the secret of this treasure and knew that every time he used this treasure transformation, he would consume a lot of essence energy. It would even affect his cultivation greatly. At this moment, Fa Wuxian counterattacked, and Jing Xiu used this transformation to break his sharpness. As long as his sharpness was broken, Fa Wuxian would no longer have the ability to counterattack and would be captured and killed. 1. A flying knife appeared from the gourd that Jing Xiu had transformed into and slashed at the fighting word. Kill! Both of their powers gathered together, and a huge storm appeared in the Yuan Gu celestial domain. Then, the celestial domain couldn't take it anymore and started to explode. The celestial domain cracked open, and countless purple crystal shards fell into the ocean. Some even scattered and merged into the air. This was the scene of celestial energy shattering and the battle between immortals and demons. Gu Chansha finally knew why the battle between immortals and demons would cause all sorts of phenomenons. For example, when the celestial crystals fell into the ocean would turn into a dead zone. The celestial energy would brew and poison most living beings to death. Then, it would slowly break down and turn into nourishment for living beings. Many strong beasts would appear in the ocean region. At the start of the celestial crystals, even golden core experts would explode after absorbing them. After the giant explosion, Gu Chansha saw Jing Xiu standing there while Fa Wuxian screamed and fled towards the depths of the ocean. Fa Wuxian sank to the bottom of the ocean. Jing Xiu did not chase after him. He stood where he was and adjusted his breathing for a moment. Then, his body flashed with light, and he recovered his strength. he flew back to his own kingdom. He did not try to kill Fa Wuxian. Jing Xiu is amazing. Gu Qinsha felt that this person was a saint. He wasn't a natural-born saint, but he was better than one. In that attack, Gu Qinsha could see that Fa Wuxian was seriously injured and had barely managed to use a secret technique to escape. Jing Xiu's injury was caused by the transformation of the immortal slaying god flying knife. Fa Wuxian didn't have the ability to hurt him. No wonder Jing Xiu dared to rebel. If Zhuge Ye hadn't appeared, the Celestial Tranquility Department would have been destroyed. Gu Qinsha didn't follow Jing Xiu back to the Sama Empire. He decided to find the seriously injured Fa Wuxian. This person was also a potential threat to the world. He had wanted to kill the Celestial Tranquility Department many times. If he could capture and kill it, he could avoid a great disaster. As for the reaction of the legalists, Gu Qinsha didn't care. The common people's wish sphere was complete, and he was about to cultivate mana. Zhuge Ye's cultivation was increasing day by day. Even a god couldn't break through the sphere's defense. The legalists couldn't do anything to the Celestial Tranquility Department, even if they came out in full force. After Jing Xiu left, Gu Qinsha turned into dust and entered the depths of the ocean in search of Fa Wuxian's aura. Back when he found the place where the head of the fiercest of the divine prefecture was sealed, he didn't care about the pressure of the deep ocean anymore. Now, his cultivation was more than 100 times stronger than before. He could enter any depths of the ocean without any pressure. Moreover, he could drill into the depths of the rocky crust. His physical body could change size at will. He could turn into dust and use his core qi to drill into the ground without any obstruction. When he reached the depths of the ocean, Gu Qinsha immediately used a technique to calculate. It was the Son of Heaven's God-conferring art's brightness of sun and moon. He had already mastered all 10 styles of sun and moon shine together. Sun and moon refining, sun and moon transformation, sun and moon slaying, sun and moon dragon, sun and moon talisman, sun and moon sacrifice, sun and moon sky, sun and moon god, sun and moon illumination, and sun and moon Tao. Among them, the sun and moon illumination was a technique to see. As the saying went, the sun and moon illumination. The sun and moon hung high in the sky. Since ancient times, nothing could be hidden from the sun and moon. Gu Qinsha activated the sun and moon illumination and sensed the secrets of the sun and moon. With the sun and moon as his eyes, he could observe everything in the boundless universe. Even the 3 celestial venerables didn't know this technique. There were many secrets to the Son of Heaven's God-conferring art. Gu Qinsha was far from fully comprehending it, just like the Great Massacre God technique. Fortunately, when he activated the sun and moon illumination, the primordial spirit in his sea of consciousness resonated with the sun and moon in the sky. In an instant, he caught hold of Fa Wuxian's aura and movements. Very good. Fa Wuxian, you won't be able to escape this time. Gu Qinsha chased after the aura. Fa Wuxian had a secret technique to escape, and it seemed to be able to hide from some calculations. However, in front of the sun and moon illumination, he couldn't hide it. Gu Qinsha shuttled at the bottom of the ocean at high speed for a full 4 hours. Finally, he found a mountain range at the bottom of the ocean. He could vaguely sense Fa Wuxian's aura. The mountain range at the bottom of the ocean was tall and extended like a continental shelf. The deep trench was unknown for hundreds or thousands of miles, and the bottom couldn't be seen. The mountain range seemed to have formed in natural formation. Spirit Qi was abundant, and countless demonic beasts resided in it, forming their own territories and nests. Another huge piece of jade, or Gu Qinsha, landed in a mountain range and revealed his body, returning to his normal size. He retracted his core qi into his body, allowing the seawater pressure to augment his body. At this moment, he was 100 miles deep in the ocean. The pressure was even greater than the previous time. With such immense water pressure directly augmenting his body, any golden body would immediately shatter. However, Gu Qinsha strolled leisurely and didn't care at all. He reached out and grabbed and a rock under his feet cracked. He took out a fist-sized piece and discovered that there was some jade in it. However, it wasn't pure jade. However, this also meant that there was a huge jade ore in this mountain range. It was just that the price to mine it was too high. If it wasn't for the huge jade ore, there wouldn't be any spirit chi gathering in this mountain range. F.A. Wuxian entered the depths of the mountain range to recuperate. He seemed to want to make use of some kind of mountain terrain to recuperate before leaving. He didn't want to return to the school of legalism. Because he had failed this time, he would lose all face when he returned to the school of legalism. Gu Chansha searched carefully and traveled through the mountain range silently. This mountain range was extremely vast, almost the size of the Great Yonko State. The trenches were even deeper. Even Gu Chansha was afraid and didn't want to go down easily. Suddenly, at the foot of a mountain range, Gu Chansha felt F.A. Wuxian's aura. He didn't dare to act rashly and hid to observe. He swam at the bottom of the sea with only his physical body and didn't use his core chi. This way, it would be difficult for F.A. Wuxian to detect him. An ancient immortal cave abode. He looked over and realized that there was a stone door at the foot of the mountain. In the depths of the stone door was a cave abode. There was an ancient magical power and the aura of a great formation coming from it. Gu Chansha even saw a few words carved on the ancient stone door. They were bird-shaped characters from ancient times, and they were called Ancient Underworld Underwater Abode. Clearly, this was a cave abode built by ancient immortals at the bottom of the sea. Many ancient immortals who cultivated to a certain level would like peace and quiet would build abodes in the depths of the sea. Moreover, there were thousands of times more living creatures and monsters in the underwater mines than on land. Spirit medicines were also extremely abundant, making it more suitable for cultivation. However, without enough cultivation, it was impossible to build a cave abode at the bottom of the sea. Even for the current Gu Chansha, it was still very difficult to build a cave abode at the bottom of the sea. Only someone like Jing Xiu could do it. This ancient underworld underwater abode was obviously abandoned after the death of its owner. F.A. Wuxian found it and took some treasures. Now, he hid himself and used the formation inside to cultivate and recover from his injuries. Gu Chansha searched through the secrets of the immortal Tao and found that there was indeed an immortal called Ancient Underworld thousands of years ago. He appeared during the era of martial emperors, but there weren't many records. Many immortals were unknown to the public. Very good. F.A. Wuxian is exploring around, and there are some secrets. I'll go in and take a look. Now that his injuries are serious, I'm afraid he's not my opponent. I'll take advantage of his illness and take his life. Gu Chansha's body flickered, and he hid himself, secretly approaching the entrance of the ancient underworld underwater abode. Chapter 376. This is the pure water mystic Ina Ray technique, a divine power that transfers strength. The spirit jade fortification array can absorb water pressure and turn it into power to release a light screen. Gu Chansha was well-read and knew almost everything about immortal Tao array techniques. He was very knowledgeable and could tell at once. There were 3 arrays at the entrance that transferred water pressure and turned it into power. Even Gu Chansha could not create it. In the deep sea, there was huge water pressure all the time, enough to flatten steel. The best way to build a cave abode was to use an array formation to convert the water pressure into power for the array formation. This was extremely difficult to do. Even with Gu Chansha's skills, he could not do it. Unless he cultivated dermic powers and reached 20 transformations, he could use dermic powers to carve arrays and build a cave abode. Only then would it be possible to build a cave abode in the deep sea. Connate Vigor Chi could nourish mortal objects and unblock meridians, while Primordial Spirit could give objects spirituality and turn them into treasures. Golden Core Power could nourish the body, allowing it to expand and shrink at will. It was even more mysterious to nourish mortal objects. For example, if Gu Chansha injected a bit of core power into an ordinary iron sword, the sword would immediately expand and shrink, turning into an immortal flying sword that could slash people dozens of miles away. But this was not as good as dermic powers. A bit of dermic powers could turn a rock into gold, completely changing the material structure. Under the effect of magic power, even ordinary soil could be turned into a precious material for refining weapons. Many Dharma treasures and array formations could only be condensed by cultivating dermic powers. This array formation can only stop the seawater from seeping in, but it can't stop me. Guqinsha took a look and decided to barge in. The owner was dead anyway, and F.A. Wuxian had taken over the nest. It was the best opportunity. He immediately activated his golden core, and his body suddenly shrank again, turning into dust. With the lunisolar sky technique, he sneaked in. The lunisolar sky technique completely hid one's aura. It was empty, distant, and silent. As the saying went, the sun and the moon were both empty. He didn't activate the spell formation, but just entered the cave. The first thing that came into sight was a huge cave with a circumference of 100 miles. The entire undersea mountain had been hollowed out, just like the caves Jingxiu had built in many mountains in Jingzhou. The inside of the cave was extremely bright, and the walls all around released a gentle radiance. This was spiritual light, and they were all made from the best stellar jade. The cave was 100 zhang tall, and it was incomparably grand. Exotic flowers and plants were planted everywhere. There were also 81 altars built in the cave abode that had a circumference of 100 miles. Each altar had a statue of a god that was several hundred feet tall sitting on it. The statues released a continuous power that served as the support of the cave abode. Other than that, there was also a stone room in the cave. There were all kinds of shining treasures stored in it. Waves of magic power could be felt from it. At the very center was a giant pill furnace that was as tall as 10 people. This pill furnace was the real highlight of the entire cave. The flame under the pill furnace seemed to be an underground essence flame that never went out. There was a volcano at the bottom of the sea, and deep in the volcano was the earth fire that was extremely hot. Those with profound magic power would bind the earth fire and use the array formation to refine it into a fire spirit, which would be used as the fire for alchemy. The pill furnace was bronze in color, and it looked ancient and vicissitudes of life. There were ancient divine beasts, forests, humans, demons, ghosts, deities, and emperors carved on it. They were vivid and lifelike, as if they were about to jump out from it. In the pill furnace, there seemed to be something being refined. There were also strong waves of magic power coming from it, and, at the same time, a delicate fragrance was emitted. And F.A. Wuxian was sitting in front of the pill furnace. He seemed to be breathing in and out, absorbing the delicate fragrance coming from the pill furnace. His body was like a cloud of smoke, sometimes dim and sometimes dense. It did not feel real. This is a good chance. This state means that the Dharmakaya is not real, and it is a sign that his vitality is greatly injured. With one look, Guqinsha knew that F.A. Wuxian's injury was extremely serious. Otherwise, how could there be a smell of smoke and clouds? At this moment, he was 80 to 90% sure that he could capture and kill F.A. Wuxian. Who is it? Just as Guqinsha was thinking about how to deal with F.A. Wuxian, F.A. Wuxian suddenly stood up, raised his palm, and his magic power surged out. The magic power searched everywhere, covering the sky and covering the earth. In an instant, it broke through Guqinsha's invisibility technique and revealed his body. "It's you, Guqinsha." When F.A. Wuxian saw Guqinsha, his face turned fierce and obvious killing intent could be seen. F.A. Wuxian, didn't expect that you would still have such strength despite your injuries. You're able to break through my invisibility technique. You are indeed a natural saint. Guqinsha stared at F.A. Wuxian. However, you are injured by Jingxiu's immortal slaying god-punishing gourd. I'm afraid you only have less than 10% of your strength left. How can you be a match for me? Even 10% of my strength is enough to kill you. F.A. Wuxian laughed heartily. Just when I'm feeling sleepy, someone sends me a pillow. I can't recover my strength, but if I capture you and devour your bloodline, I can definitely recover. Your calmness immortal department actually obtained the bloodlines of North Chun, Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise. After obtaining your bloodline, I will definitely be able to improve further. I also want to kill you and fuse you into my Ghost God's Touch tree. I will definitely be able to refine the Heavenly Demon Tree. Guchen Sha looked at the cave abode. Netherworld Ancient Underwater Abode. Netherworld Ancient Netherworld's cultivation is no lower than Jing Qiu's. If I'm not wrong, this cauldron actually has the smell of the Dragonization Pagoda. Could it be that Netherworld Ancient Netherworld obtained the remains of the Dragonization Pagoda and turned it into a cauldron? Immortal Netherworld Ancient was a figure from the era of the Martial Emperor. According to the legends, he even assisted the Martial Emperor. When Gu Chunsha saw this cauldron, he felt that it contained the smell of the Dragonization Pagoda. The Martial Emperor built the Dragonization Pagoda to stabilize the fate of the nation, but it was later destroyed. The first thing Gu Chunsha obtained was a wreckage, which was obtained by the demonic ape temple of chaos and painstakingly refined. And now, this cauldron's power was more than 10 times that of the wreckage. That's right, it's the wreckage of the Dragonization Pagoda. Netherworld Ancient's cultivation is about the same as Jing Qiu's, but his battle prowess should be far inferior to Jing Qiu's. Fa Wuxian said, but Netherworld Ancient is also a character. His arcane energy turned into a Netherworld Ancient relic, which has been brewing in this cauldron for countless years. Although he is already dead, all of his arcane energy crystallized into the Netherworld Ancient Pearl. After thousands of years of refinement, it is only a little bit away from becoming one with this cauldron and becoming a powerful artifact. He hoped to borrow the power of this cauldron to resurrect himself. But when I found this cauldron, everything belongs to me. Coincidentally, you arrived at this time. So I threw you into the cauldron and let you become one with the cauldron, turning you into a powerful artifact. Then, I will become one with this artifact. That way, I will have the strength to kill Jing Qiu. It seems like you are very confident in killing me. Gu Qinsha was a little solemn. Indeed, in this cauldron, you will be able to use the power within it, and your strength will increase. But this is also good, because it makes it more challenging for me. Otherwise, I will have to kill you directly. There is no difficulty at all, and it will not be a good training for me. Who would have thought? I thought that Liu Baiwei would be my opponent, but who would have thought that you would come out of nowhere? Fa Wuxian sighed. In that case, I can't be bothered to talk to you anymore. Let's finish this quickly. Buzz, as he spoke, another Fa Wuxian appeared behind Gu Qinsha. This Fa Wuxian held a long sword in his hand and stabbed at Gu Qinsha's head. The moment Gu Qinsha was attacked, he lunged forward and attacked the real body of Fa Wuxian. His first move was an extremely fierce attack. His palm was like a knife, and he infused his core chi into it. As he stabbed down, a talisman formed in his hand. Fa Wuxian was about to take it head-on, but he suddenly realized that there was a talisman in Gu Qinsha's hand. He immediately shrank back and dodged, not daring to take it head-on. Banishing Immortal's Talisman. Fa Wuxian recognized it. This was the move that the three celestial masters used in ancient times to make the immortals tremble in fear. Gu Qinsha did not reply. Instead, he waved his hands again, and layers of palm shadows surrounded Fa Wuxian. He did not use any Dharma spells, but purely used his physical body to attack. His physical body was stronger than any Dharma treasure or weapon. The golden elixir was jumping in his body, and he was like a lightning bolt. Swoosh! He caught up with Fa Wuxian and slapped again, blocking Fa Wuxian's escape route, forcing Fa Wuxian to take his banishing Immortal Palm. This banishing Immortal Palm technique was just comprehended by Gu Qinsha. It was to use the power of the banishing Immortal on one's hand, and use one's physical body to attack the enemy. By slapping continuously, the enemy's Dharma power would dissipate, and the enemy would be reduced to immortal. Fa Wuxian was really annoyed by Gu Qinsha's attacks, and for a moment, he was actually at a disadvantage. Damn it, if I was killed by the immortal slaying god-slaying flying knife that Jing Xiu transformed into, why would I be afraid of his banishing immortal technique? It would not be able to cause any damage to my Dharma power. But now it's hard to say. See, Jing Xiu is full of tricks, and this person probably has a trump card. I can't take the risk, or else a single mistake would cause everlasting sorrow, and it would be a joke if I failed miserably. Fa Wuxian dodged continuously, and he was chased by Gu Chansha everywhere. Running? Gu Chansha looked at Fa Wuxian running everywhere, and he kept chasing after him. He was about to be hit, but Fa Wuxian would always escape at the most crucial moment. Suddenly, he let out a long roar, and he combined the 10 styles of the Son of Heaven God sealing art. The Son of Heaven God sealing art had 3 styles. Sun and moon shine together, heaven and earth live together, and all beings are united. Each style had 10 styles. Most of the sons of heaven had only learned the first 10 styles, and they had already swept through the world, killing all the demons and gods. There were only a few sons of heaven who had learned the second style. Not a single son of heaven god sealing art had managed to learn the 3rd style. In other words, the 3rd style of the Son of Heaven God sealing art, all in one, had never appeared in the world since ancient times. This was the first time Gu Chansha used the 10 styles as one, the power of sun and moon shine together. In an instant, he activated it, and all the golden elixir in his body jumped, and all the power was sucked out in an instant. At this moment, he seemed to have transformed into another sun and moon, and his brilliance filled the cave. Chapter 377. What kind of technique is this? The sun and moon shine together shone on the entire cave abode. Almost the entire cave abode melted, and everything had to submit under this light. This was the sun and moon shine on the world. Fa Wuxian was originally trying to dodge Gu Chencha's banishing celestial palm, and at the same time, find an opening to kill Gu Chansha. After all, the banishing immortal palm was indeed miraculous, but it would only be effective if it hit a person. Moreover, Gu Chencha's banishing immortal palm could only cause some harm to him. It couldn't actually deprive him of his magic power and talent. He couldn't compare to Jing Fanqing. But once the sun and moon shine together appeared, the light made him sink into a quagmire. His mana started to circulate, and he couldn't escape Gu Chencha's attack at all. Gu Chansha pounced over, and his fist technique was like a god. His palm contained sealing, destruction, melting, redemption, cleansing, demon vanquishing, mystical, and many other powers. This palm technique wasn't the banishing celestial palm, but the sealed god fist force. It was more powerful, but it consumed a lot of energy. Fight! Fa Wuxian couldn't avoid it. He raised his hands and struck out all sorts of seals, using the battle Dao to its fullest. The two of them attacked continuously, almost destroying the cave abode. But the cauldron in the middle of the cave abode emitted a strong suction force, absorbing the shock waves from their battle and stabilizing the cave abode. Otherwise, the entire mountain would have collapsed. Gu Chencha's palm got heavier and heavier, like the sun and moon falling down, pressing down on the ground. And every time Fa Wuxian received a palm, his body would become thinner. This was because his mana was being used up, and it was hard to recover. Kill! Fa Wuxian once again launched a brazen counterattack. He exhaled and let out a loud roar. His fists followed the law and exploded violently. He actually managed to block Gu Chencha's continuous attacks. Then, he took a step forward and reached out with his claw, aiming straight for Gu Chencha's chest. He was actually going to dig out the golden core in his chest. This was the flaw. The golden core was the strongest, but also the weakest. Back then, Gu Chansha had used a surprise attack and allowed the black tortoise baby to grab Gu's golden core and obtain victory. Fa Wuxian could tell that Gu Chencha's strongest point was his golden core. Once he grabbed it and used a secret technique to cut off the connection between the golden core and his main body, he would lose his source of power. If one cultivated spiritual power and reached Dao Realm 20 transformation, then there would be no weaknesses. His body and golden pellet would merge into one, and he would be able to use them freely. His life essence would be changed. Fa Wuxian's attack seemed to have been planned for a long time. It seemed to be his final counterattack. Puchi. He used some sort of mystical technique to break through the layers of light and grab onto Gu Chench's chest. Suddenly, a strong suction force appeared on the claws, trying to pull Gu Chench's golden core out. How could it be that easy? The golden core in Gu Chench's Tanzhong acupoint on his chest sank directly and reached the cave in the depths of the Sea of Qi in his dantian. After the Grotto Heaven ritual, a Grotto Heaven appeared in his sea of consciousness and energy, causing his earth energy and mental energy storage to reach the maximum. At this moment, he hid his golden core in the Grotto Heaven. No matter how strong Fa Wuxian was, he wouldn't be able to snatch it, unless he was a god and had the ability to rip open the Grotto Heaven. What is going on? Fa Wuxian sensed that something was wrong. Why is there a Grotto Heaven in your body? Your flesh and blood have merged with the power of space. Right, I went through the ancient Grotto Heaven ritual. Only the power of the Heaven Tao can merge my flesh and blood with the Grotto Heaven. The move I used is called Sun and Moonshine Together. It is the first move of the Son of Heaven God sealing technique. You should have heard of this technique, right? Do you think that any of your techniques can compare to this technique? Gu Chench's intent stabbed deep into Fa Wuxian's mind to shock him. What? Son of Heaven God sealing technique? As expected, Fa Wuxian lost control of his mind, and his dermic powers started to fluctuate. Gu Chensha let out a long roar. The sun and moon shine together technique gathered in his hands. He clasped them together in front of him like a giant millstone of the sun and moon, crushing Fa Wuxian within, directly refining him and causing Fa Wuxian to be completely destroyed. Lawless. All of a sudden, Fa Wuxian split a portion of his powers, which took the form of an umbrella. The umbrella opened above his head and blocked all the attacks. Kacha! Under the power of the sun and moon shine together, the umbrella was destroyed. However, Fa Wuxian took advantage of this opportunity and dodged again. He seized the opportunity to escape from Gu Chench's attack. He turned into a rainbow and tried to escape. Gu Chensha immediately used the sun and moon shine together to block him again. But Fa Wuxian's move was actually a feint. His spear actually entered the pill furnace in the center. Gu Chensha quickly pounced over and slammed his palm on the pill furnace. But a layer of light exploded from the pill furnace, protecting it while absorbing Gu Chencha's attack. Fa Wuxian is really strong. He was heavily injured by Jing Xiu, and I actually used so many techniques, but still couldn't capture him. If he was at his full strength, I definitely wouldn't be his match. Gu Chensha was impressed. Natural saints were so strong. These consecutive battles had greatly benefited him. Now that Fa Wuxian hid in the pill furnace, he was actually unable to break the pill furnace and attack Fa Wuxian. This pill furnace could absorb attacks and convert them into energy. This was the use of Gu Chencha's Dragon Gate. When Gu Chensha activated the Dragon Gate, it was unknown how many enemies he had defeated. The Dragon Gate could absorb the enemy's attacks and convert them into dragon-nurturing chi. Not only could it increase one's aptitude, it could also heal injuries and nourish one's origin. Now, he actually encountered the same situation. It could be said that it was an eye for an eye. This pill furnace was also refined from the remains of the Dragon Transformation Pagoda. Moreover, the aura of the remains was 10 times stronger than the remains that Gu Chensha had obtained. Its might was naturally much stronger. Now that Fa Wuxian hid inside, Gu Chensha really had no way to deal with him. Gu Chensha, you actually injured me to this extent. Moreover, I didn't expect that you actually learned the Son of Heaven Sealing God technique. I already know all of your secrets. Wait until I refine the ancient underworld relic in this pill furnace and become one with the pill furnace. I will recover my strength and advance a step further. Then, it will be the time of your death. No matter where you escape to, I will capture you. Fa Wuxian's voice came out from the pill furnace. Fa Wuxian, do you think that if you hide inside the pill furnace, I won't be able to do anything to you? Gu Chensha stared at the pill furnace. He was unable to sense the common people's wish sphere in the deep sea. Otherwise, he would have activated the sphere and taken the pill furnace away. You can try. F.A. Wuxian laughed heartily. This is my last resort. Originally, I didn't want to hide inside. This is a disgrace. But since you actually have the Son of Heaven sealing God technique, it doesn't matter. You're a person with great luck. You are even luckier than that one Hong. It's no wonder. In a mere 6 to 7 years, you cultivated from a mortal who wasn't even a martial warrior to your current realm. Even I can't compare to your speed. Wait for me to come out, then I will haggle with you. Feel free to use all your methods and see if you can destroy this pill furnace. Great force capture. Gu Qinsha didn't answer F.A. Wuxian. He activated the power of his gold core, which flew out of his body and turned into a huge hand that grabbed the pill furnace. He lifted it up and sent it into the grotto heaven in the depths of his dantian. As long as he was trapped in the paradise, F.A. Wuxian would have no chance to escape. That way, he could return to the calming immortal department and slowly refine the common people's wish sphere. Unfortunately, the hand formed from his gold core couldn't move the pill furnace at all. It didn't budge at all. With Gu Qinsha's current strength, the hand formed from his gold core could easily grab a mountain and lift it up. But the pill furnace didn't budge, as if it was connected to some mysterious power that had taken root. Sun and Moon refinement. Gu Qinsha sent out numerous talismans in an attempt to refine the pill furnace. But the talismans couldn't even penetrate the pill furnace and were bounced back. Refining an item was actually using one's primordial spirit to transform into talismans that seeped into magic treasures, establishing a close connection with one's heart and soul. But if the talismans couldn't seep into it, then there was no way to refine it. You want to refine this pill furnace? That's just wishful thinking. F.A. Wuxian said, this pill furnace was refined from the Dragonized Pagoda, and it also contains the relic form from immortal Ming Gu's magic power. This relic is used to suppress the pill furnace, and it is already fused with the power of the ocean here. You don't have the power of the ocean, so how can you capture it? Especially since this pill furnace is stained with the blood of a martial monarch. The piece of the Dragonized Pagoda you obtained before didn't have the blood of a martial monarch. This guy is recovering his strength. When Gu Qinsha heard this, he knew that the pill furnace had endless power. In just a short while, it had actually helped F.A. Wuxian recover quite a bit. If it wasn't long before F.A. Wuxian completely recovered, he would most likely be killed by him instead. But he wasn't willing to leave just like that. If he left after F.A. Wuxian came out, he could also leave. Then he would lose this opportunity. Why didn't F.A. Wuxian enter the pill furnace in the beginning? Gu Qinsha thought of a way, and his sea of consciousness spun rapidly. With his current 600,000 multitasking methods, he could immediately think of many things. It's very likely that he entered the pill furnace, and there will be some danger. Or maybe immortal Ming Gu's is still inside, and he wants to suppress it. But Ming Gu's cultivation is not as high as Jing Qiu's, and he's already dead. Even if there is some instinctive will left, F.A. Wuxian should be able to suppress it easily. That's right, the martial monarch blood that he mentioned just now. The Dragonized Pagoda used for this pill furnace was stained with the blood of a martial monarch. A martial monarch was a supreme expert, and he unified the divine continent, and his achievements were second only to the heavenly talisman emperor. He forged the Dragonized Pagoda and raised the aptitude of the common people. He also fought against the demons and barbarians and exterminated the demons. He also suppressed the immortal Tao and made it work for the common people. According to the historical records, his achievements even surpassed most of the ancient emperors, but he didn't get the heaven's sacrificial decree. This martial monarch was famous, and although he was later killed by the joint forces of the deities, demons, and immortals, he probably didn't die completely, and the blood he left behind had supreme mysteries and magical uses. F.A. Wuxian probably wanted to fight with the will in the martial monarch blood, so that he could finally refine this pill furnace and obtain many benefits. However, fighting with the martial monarch blood was extremely dangerous, and Fa Wuxian was also very afraid. Now that he was forced to his limits by Gu Qinsha, he could only take the risk. In an instant, Gu Qinsha more or less guessed the truth of the matter. Chapter 378. The world operates, the gods communicate, and the senses transform into a dragon. As long as the tower exists, the person exists. At this moment, Gu Qinsha did not use his core qi to attack the pill furnace. He could tell that any attack he made would be helping Fa Wuxian. He would not do something like helping his enemy. After all, he knew a lot about the Dragon Transformation Tower. The Dragon Transformation Tower contained the aura of a martial emperor. Gu Qinsha's life treasure was this tower, and he had a deep understanding of the martial emperor's profoundness. Now, he used his aura to simulate the profoundness of a martial emperor, and his aura started to sense the martial emperor's blood. Above his head, the Dragon Transformation Tower condensed with the power of a golden core, and it contained the aura of a martial emperor. At the same time, he poured his will into it and gave off a mental ripple. Martial Emperor, your wish from back then is about to be realized. Back then, you wanted to exterminate the monsters and barbarians and flatten the savage land. Now, the imperial court has built a capital city in the savage land. Back then, you wanted to suppress the demons, and now the demons do not dare to leave the Sea of Sin. Back then, you wanted to conquer the overseas countries, and now many overseas countries have become the imperial court's territory. Back then, you built the Dragon Transformation Tower to raise the aptitude of the people. Now, the imperial court has built schools everywhere, and everyone can learn for free. The gods have been sealed, and the deities have started to pay taxes to the imperial court. The prosperity of the world has already surpassed the empire you created. Don't you want to come out and take a look? I can help you. Gu Qinsha's aura and spiritual sense kept washing the pill furnace. This was not an attack, but a kind of stimulation. He wanted to use the current way of the imperial court to stimulate the reaction of the martial emperor's blood in the pill furnace and harm Fa Wuxian. As expected, as he stimulated it, a supreme emperor's qi suddenly burst out from the depths of the pill furnace, and it was even firmer than the ancient emperor's will. The martial emperor's will appeared in the depths of the pill furnace. Fa Wuxian immediately sent out a mental ripple. Gu Qinsha, you actually triggered the martial emperor's blood's will. Do you think you can interfere with me like this? I can definitely suppress the martial emperor's blood's will. So what if he is a martial emperor? He must be suppressed by me. I, Fa Wuxian, am invincible. Inside the cauldron, Fa Wuxian circulated his magic power once again. Countless sounds of battle rang out inside, and the entire cauldron actually began to tremble slightly. Clearly, because the will of the martial emperor's blood had been activated deep within the cauldron, Fa Wuxian had lost some of his ability to control it. A good chance. When Gu Qinsha saw that the originally unmoving alchemy furnace was actually trembling, he knew that his operation was effective. His whole body immediately circulated the Dan Qi. His body turned into dust and fiercely drilled into the alchemy furnace. The interior of the pill furnace was actually a huge space. This space was even bigger than the entire cave. This pill furnace was a spatial treasure. This wasn't something that the owner of the cavern, Immortal Ming Gu, could create. This was also the power of the Dragonized Pagoda's remains. Since a martial emperor created the Dragonized Pagoda himself, it naturally contained boundless power of space-time. And this space was filled with raging flames that burned incomparably fiercely. There was even a whirlwind that swirled around, capable of incinerating everything. Under the effect of the whirlwind, the flames turned into countless fire crows, fire snakes, fire dragons, fire tigers, fire horses, and even fire cheilants. They surged and roared, appearing and disappearing as they pleased, increasing the refining power of the pill furnace. This is the dragon-nurturing fire, dragon transformation wind. With a single look, Gu Chansha could tell that the refining power of the wind and fire within this pill furnace was unparalleled. As he circulated it, even his body felt a sense of ecstasy. However, as long as the wind and fire were used well, it could temper one's body and refine all sorts of magic treasures. Right now, there was no one activating the pill furnace, so its power was still ordinary. It was still in its primordial state, so Gu Chansha could still resist it. If the pill furnace was controlled by Fa Wuxian, it would be extremely dangerous for him to enter it. It was very likely that he would be refined within. Dragon Nurturing Cultivation Technique. Gu Chansha looked again and found that there were many words floating on the walls of the space around the pill furnace. It was actually another dragon nurturing cultivation technique, but the number of words was more than 10 times the number of words he had obtained before. Back then, when Gu Chansha had stolen the dragonized pagoda from the chaotic demonic ape temple, he had found the incomplete dragon nurturing cultivation technique. After cultivating it, he had obtained many benefits. And now, with 10 times the number of words, Gu Chansha had obtained even more benefits. So that's how it is. Gu Chansha was shocked to find that the dragon nurturing cultivation technique that he had obtained was combined with the incomplete words from before. Although it was not the complete dragon nurturing cultivation technique, it seemed that through cultivating the dragon nurturing cultivation technique, one's talent could be changed. If it was the complete dragon nurturing cultivation technique, even an idiot who cultivated it could gradually become a genius. And now, the dragon nurturing cultivation technique that Gu Chansha had obtained was about 30% complete. If he cultivated according to this, he could slowly turn an idiot into a middle-grade talent, which was equivalent to obtaining a portion of the Tiger Wolf Pill's power. In this world, there was no cultivation technique that could change talent. Even the Son of Heaven's God sealing technique could not. And the Great Massacre God technique was the general outline of the most profound mysteries in the universe. It was a sharp weapon that suppressed the heavenly Tao. Even innate sages might not be able to comprehend it, let alone cultivate it. If I obtain this technique and pass it on to some idiots, won't I be able to turn them into middle-grade talents? Gu Chansha was overjoyed, but then he frowned. Fa Wuxian found this place long ago. Doesn't that mean that he has learned the incomplete dragon nurturing cultivation technique? At least when he returns, he can use this technique to increase the strength of the school of legalism. That's right. Only by combining this technique with the incomplete technique of mine will this idiot be able to gradually turn him into a middle-grade talent. Discovering the incomplete technique of the dragon nurturing cultivation technique was something that happened in an instant. It did not stop Gu Chansha from searching for Fa Wuxian. The moment he entered the cauldron, he saw a pearl spinning in the depths of the cauldron amidst the raging wind and fire. It emitted an ancient aura and was pitch black. At the top of the cauldron, there was a drop of blood. The drop of blood was like a blazing sun, emitting endless light and heat, as if it wanted to steal all the light in the world. The energy contained in the drop of blood far surpassed Gu Chansha's strength. This is the blood of a martial emperor? When Gu Chansha saw the drop of blood, he immediately knew how powerful the martial emperor was in the past. The martial emperor had already stood at the peak of the saints. He had even faintly broken through the realm of the 36 transformations, embodiment transformation, and reached another level. His blood contained many secrets of the divergent. Clearly, the martial emperor was the divergent. I see. Back then, the martial emperor became a divergent and did great things. His cultivation was also extremely high, and he was able to unify the divine continent and establish hegemony. Unfortunately, he failed at the last moment. That was because his strength was still insufficient. If my guess is correct, his realm should be above the 36 transformations. However, he had not completely jumped out of the 3 realms and 5 elements. His strength was still a distance away from the 3 great celestial venerables. He was far from being able to suppress the heavenly Tao. Father. Gu Chansha deduced many things from the drop of the martial emperor's blood. At this time, he also noticed Fa Wuxian. Fa Wuxian also turned into a flame and formed a fighting character, which wrapped around the ancient netherworld relic below. Then his magic power extended out and turned into many tentacles that attacked the drop of the martial emperor's blood in the sky. He wanted to pluck it down and fuse it with his body. Unfortunately, every time his magic power came into contact with the martial emperor's blood, it would be bounced back by the boundless power of the blood, causing his magic power to be unable to penetrate it. Fa Wuxian, what do you think? I have already broken all of your techniques. Let's see how you're going to escape from this cauldron today. Gu Chansha locked his gaze on Fa Wuxian and said, if you want to refine this ancient netherworld relic, it won't be something that can be done in a short period of time. How can it be so easy for you to refine the entire body of an immortal? Very good. Fa Wuxian suddenly retracted his magic power and turned back into his human form. You can actually attract the martial emperor's blood. You do have some skills, but I deliberately let you in. As long as you enter this cauldron, I can borrow the power of the cauldron to refine you. If you don't come in, I can't do anything to you. You think I don't know? You have actually obtained this ancient netherworld underwater mansion for some time, but you can't refine the ancient netherworld relic and the martial emperor's blood. You can control some of the mysteries of this cauldron, but the core of this cauldron is the martial emperor's blood. Gu Chansha said, the secret to controlling this cauldron is the dragon cultivation technique. You have also cultivated this technique and are proficient in it. In addition, after some time, you can indeed refine me. However, now that I have entered the cauldron, I have also obtained the secret of the dragon cultivation technique. In addition, I have obtained the remains of the dragon transformation tower, which also contains the dragon cultivation technique. With the two combined, I have more than the cultivation technique you have obtained. Who knows, I might be able to control this cauldron. Ha! Fa Wuxian laughed wildly. Very good, very good. Do you think I don't know about this? Just now, I deliberately let you see the dragon cultivation technique. Otherwise, everyone who entered the cauldron would be able to see the dragon cultivation technique. Wouldn't that be a mess? The moment you saw the dragon cultivation technique, the aura in your body automatically circulated and resonated with each other in the cauldron. I have already seen through the additional cultivation technique you have. Now, the dragon cultivation technique I have obtained is comparable to yours. You are still too inexperienced to compete with me in intelligence. If your calming immortal department didn't have Zhugia, I would have already destroyed it. This is the saying, a just cause enjoys abundant support, while an unjust cause finds little support. Gu Chansha was secretly shocked. This Fa Wuxian, whether it was in terms of cultivation or intelligence, was worthy of being called a natural-born saint. He had actually managed to pry into a sliver of Gu Chansha's mental cultivation method just now, allowing him to grasp the initiative of this pill furnace. Originally, Fa Wuxian would undoubtedly die. But now, with this little thing, he had actually fought for a chance of survival, causing Gu Chansha to lose confidence in capturing and killing this person. Up until now, Fa Wuxian had finally relied on his intelligence and calculations to gain some initiative. Chapter 379. Gu Chansha, on the other hand, was not dejected. Being tricked by Fa Wuxian was not a big deal. If he killed Fa Wuxian just like that, then it would be strange, and even he would feel that it was pointless. The battle with Fa Wuxian was definitely not a simple matter. This person was not like Jing Fanxing, who was blinded by hatred. Ever since Zhuge came into being, Fa Wuxian immediately endured. It could be seen that Fa Wuxian could endure and had great wisdom. However, it was also because of this that the battle between him and Gu Chansha was even more valuable. A few years ago, Gu Chansha was not qualified to compete with Fa Wuxian. Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra. Fa Wuxian activated this sutra. Sure enough, under his senses, the surrounding fire and wind became more intense and wrapped around Gu Chansha, as if it wanted to refine Gu Chansha. The cauldron was now completely under Fa Wuxian's control. Fa Wuxian's Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra was exactly the same as Gu Chansha's. Using the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra to activate the cauldron, the true power of the cauldron was unleashed. Roar! The fire and wind produced by the cauldron was like a mountain pressing down, creating a tribulation within the fire and wind. This cauldron's power is extremely great. Guchen Sha, I will let you enjoy it. Fa Wuxian's body was also surrounded by wind and fire, but the power of the wind and fire did not have any offensive power. Instead, it turned into many tiny dragon shapes that seeped into Fa Wuxian's body. At the same time, it refined his own magic power and dissolved the ancient netherworld relic in his body. The fire and wind of the cauldron could incinerate everything and refine everything. Fa Wuxian could naturally control it. On one hand, he could refine Gu Chansha, and on the other hand, he could provide energy for his own recovery. The ancient underworld relic itself was a relic formed from the essence of the ancient deity's mana. It contained a huge amount of energy. Although the nature of the mana did not match with Fa Wuxian's body, forcefully refining it would only bring more harm than good. However, legalism's divine art had the ability to unify all laws. Omniscient realm. Meanwhile, Fa Wuxian's body had turned into a magical ring. Within the magical ring, one could vaguely see the omniscient realm. The ancient underworld relic was circulating in this Dharma realm. Traces of fragrant magic power were forcibly extracted and integrated into Fa Wuxian's body. In this way, his cultivation was slowly recovering. Meanwhile, the tribulations of wind and fire had already surrounded Guchen Sha. They were completely berserk attacks. At first, there were weapons of wind and fire and all sorts of wild beasts. Then they actually transformed into divine lightning. Rumble. Countless sparks flew over, and as soon as they touched his body, a chain of explosions occurred. Every spark was like a thunderbolt, shaking the heavens and the earth. Gu Chansha felt that these sparks, which were larger than dust particles, turned into huge thunderbolts. Their power was even greater than the sea-splitting thunderbolt that he had used before. Furthermore, they carried the power of annihilation. Billions of sparks surrounded him and exploded in chain. Even if he had cultivated mana, it would still be difficult to endure. Especially those thunderbolts, there were traces of divinity mixed in. It seemed to be the divine might of the wind god and the fire god. This was much more powerful than ordinary lightning arts. Gu Chansha, just enjoy it. I don't believe that you can withstand the incineration of this cauldron. Fa Wuxian controlled the cauldron, causing the wind and fire inside to become more and more ferocious. The wails of ghosts and gods could be heard. On the other hand, he accelerated the refinement of the ancient underworld relic within his body. Not bad, Gu Chansha thought. At this moment, he seemed to be at an absolute disadvantage. Every time the tribulations of wind and fire came, his body would be torn to pieces. If it wasn't for the fact that his body had gone through the Rite of Eden and his bloodline had fused with the power of time and space, as well as the bloodline of the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and North Star, his body would have been torn to pieces. Even his golden core would have been destroyed. He secretly activated his cultivation base, wanted to rush over to Fa Wuxian's side and kill him. However, the tribulations of wind and fire had a strong tearing force. He could only barely maintain his position. Otherwise, he would have been torn to pieces. Dragon Cultivation Technique. Gu Chansha also activated the Dragon Cultivation Technique and started to change the state of the wind and fire around him. At the same time, he used the tribulations of wind and fire to speed up the fusion of the bloodlines in his body. The bloodlines in his body were very complicated. He already had the Sun Moon Dragon bloodline, the God of Seasons bloodline, the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and North Star bloodline. He also cultivated many cultivation techniques and gave birth to some bloodlines. The more he had, the more powerful they were. However, he lacked a dominant bloodline. He couldn't display the essence of the bloodline. Since the bloodlines in his body were so complicated, he didn't want them to explode and fuse with his golden core. Otherwise, the chi that would be created wouldn't be pure and it wouldn't have that kind of supreme pressure. But now, he wanted to use the pressure from Fa Wuxian to fuse all the bloodlines in his body and turn them into his own bloodline. The huge power pressed down on him. Gu Chunsha used his acupoints to block it and absorb it. His body rotated and he refined it. Gu Chunsha, I admit that you are strong, and I admit that you're my opponent. However, you have a weakness too. The bloodlines in your body are too complicated. Each bloodline is extremely strong, and it is like a dragon without a leader. You can't purify them at all. This makes it very difficult for you to cultivate. This is called biting off more than one can chew. It is simple for you to use this cauldron to purify them. This is also part of my plan. Since you don't want those bloodlines, then give them to me. I want you to do that. Fa Wuxian had the upper hand again. Wang, the wind and fire suddenly changed forms, and they had a huge suction force. The wind and fire that Gu Chunsha absorbed into his body were like fishing hooks. They seeped into his bloodlines and started to hook onto the bloodlines of the Sun and Moon Dragon, Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, Go Chun, and God of 5 Seasons. These bloodlines couldn't be fused. Each of them had their own unique abilities. Although they weren't in a state of disunity, they weren't a solid block either. This gave Fa Wuxian the chance to hook out these powerful bloodlines one by one. Fa Wuxian, I didn't expect you to succeed with one move. You are forcing me to fall into your trap again. Gu Chunsha said calmly. That's right. If you let me gain the upper hand, there's basically no chance. Fa Wuxian's strength seemed to have recovered a little, causing his body to become sturdier. I won't refine the bloodlines in your body. I'll merge them with the martial monarch blood and refine a pill. Once you consume it, you will have a chance to obtain the memories of the martial monarch realm. Why was the martial monarch realm so strong back then? He even surpassed his ancestor, the martial sacred realm. It's because he had entered the primordial dragon gate by chance and obtained many ultimacies from it. I see. Gu Chunsha knew that he had fallen into a disadvantageous position. If this continued, he would be killed. Not only would his bloodline be extracted, Fa Wuxian would also recover gradually. However, Fa Wuxian, you're wrong when you said that I lack something to suppress those powerful bloodlines. Oh, Fa Wuxian activated the cauldron once again, and it grew fiercer. I would like to see what other trump cards you have up your sleeves. You've forgotten that my bloodline is the strongest. Gu Chunsha wore a smile. I'm Gu Taxian's son. Is there anyone in this world that is stronger than him? Then, his bloodline was the strongest existence. However, he purposely hid the power of his descendants' bloodline. However, I've already comprehended some secrets. It's all because of you that I'm able to awaken my bloodline under your strong pressure. Heavenly Talisman, Martial Monarch's bloodline, suppress. Buzz, the bloodline in Gu Chunsha's body, seemed to have awakened. This was the bloodline of the Heavenly Talisman, Martial Monarch. Gu Chunsha was Gu Taxian's son. Thus he possessed the direct bloodline. No one could guess how strong the Heavenly Talisman, Great Empyrean, was. In any case, in front of him, gods were like toddlers learning to walk. The 3 heavenly venerables were ancient oddities, existences that were practically indestructible. But after the Heavenly Talisman, Great Empyrean, appeared, they were scared like turtles. Even the power of the heaven-worshipping decree was distorted by him. It would be a joke to say that his bloodline was not powerful. However, the strange thing was that most of the princes and grandsons had ordinary talents. The only genius among them was the 4th Gu Huasha. The bloodline of the royal family was definitely not simple. Gu Chunsha had always suspected that Gu Taxian had cast some kind of seal to prevent others from sensing the power of the bloodline. Now, under the powerful pressure from Fa Wuxian, in addition to some comprehension from the martial emperor's blood, Gu Chunsha seemed to have really comprehended something. Although it was only a trace and disappeared in a flash, it was enough. In the depths of his limbs and bones, a boundlessly powerful bloodline that could sweep through the boundless world, causing everything that existed or didn't exist, and even those that existed and didn't exist were born. In front of this bloodline the black tortoise bloodline, god of seasons bloodline, and even the sun moon dragon bloodline were not worth mentioning, and they all trembled in fear. This bloodline rotated slightly, and after filling up his body for a full cycle, all the other bloodlines were crushed into a brand new bloodline. Some of Gu Chinch's hidden dangers were finally all eliminated. After crushing these bloodlines, Gu Taxian's bloodline disappeared, as if it had never existed. It's a pity that my bloodline wasn't fully activated. Gu Qinsha sighed, but he was still happy. The new bloodline that was born from the crushed bloodlines was secretly circulated by Gu Qinsha, turning it into a brand new bloodline. This bloodline will be called the Common People True Bloodline. Gu Qinsha named it. This was his unique bloodline. However, this bloodline couldn't be compared to the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's bloodline. Unfortunately, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's bloodline was only activated for a moment, and it disappeared completely. Gu Qinsha scanned his body inch by inch, but he couldn't find any traces of it. Chapter 380. Gu Qinsha sensed how strong the Heaven Talisman Emperor's bloodline was. But this bloodline came and went without a trace. He only activated it for a moment, and after that he didn't have the ability to do so anymore. Next, he had to wait for another spiritual light. Luckily, many of the bloodlines in his body were shattered and merged into a new bloodline. It had the strengths of many bloodlines, but didn't have any conflicts. It was really close to his Common People Heaven mending technique and Common People Heaven reforming technique. They were carved from the same mold. Just like that, his bloodline and the golden pellet technique were the same, and all his accumulations were completed. Gu Chinch's body was one, and there were no weaknesses. His physical body was unprecedentedly strong, and his golden pellet was unprecedentedly strong. He used sun and moon shine together and consumed a lot of his golden pellet. But now, he could replenish it in just a breath. This was the energy produced by his physical body. That's good. My talents have improved, and I could do a million things at once. I am really strong and can control the golden pellet with ease. Then, only the last step is to merge my body and golden pellet into one and explode. I will gather all this spiritual power and cultivate to the 20th transformation. Gu Chinch's plan was finally completed. However, to reach the 20th transformation, he needed a huge amount of energy. Gu Qinsha decided to get that Emperor blood as resources to advance. He would be able to obtain spiritual power right away, especially since F.A. Wuxian said that the Emperor blood contained the memories of the Dragon Gate and maybe even the complete dragon raising heart technique. It was even more valuable. After one cultivated the complete dragon raising heart technique, even a dumb person could become a genius after a long time. However, after Emperor Wu, the dragon raising heart technique was lost. This dragon raising heart technique was brought out from the Dragon Gate. If he could obtain the memories of the depths of the Dragon Gate, that would be a really amazing thing. It would be able to enrich Gu Chinch's knowledge and help him raise his cultivation. At the same time, his Common People Heaven repairing technique would be able to reach a whole new level. The Common People Heaven mending technique had been deduced many times. Although it was magical now, it was still a distance away from those top techniques. It was just that this technique was self-created by Gu Qinsha, and it was most suitable for his personality, aura, and spirit. Using it to attack could bring out the greatest effect. His future path was to constantly absorb all kinds of knowledge and experience, using them as resources to perfect this Tao and push it to the peak. However, before obtaining the Martial Emperor's blood, Gu Qinsha still wanted to kill F.A. Wuxian. He could tell that it was not easy to obtain the Martial Emperor's blood. Otherwise, he would have obtained it before F.A. Wuxian was injured. He would not have waited until now. F.A. Wuxian had yet to recover, while Gu Chinch's cultivation base had reached a state of perfection. He was only a step away from shattering his golden elixir and his physical body, fusing them together, and comprehending the rules. Once one comprehended this kind of law, it would definitely be earth-shattering. Whoosh! After Gu Chansha shattered many blood meridians and merged them into one, the strength of his physical body increased by another level. The golden core circulated vigorously in his body, and the energy of the core was terrifyingly pure. With a single punch, he blasted away the tribulations of wind and fire that were sweeping towards him. Then, he charged towards Fa Wuxian and punched him again. Damn it! Fa Wuxian had finally gained the upper hand after scheming. He had used all his intelligence and was about to extract Gu Chencha's blood meridians to complete his plan. But who would have thought that at this moment, Gu Chansha would actually awaken the bloodline of the heavenly talisman Great Sovereign in his body. This bloodline suppressed all other bloodlines, helping Gu Chansha cultivate a bloodline that was compatible with his own cultivation art. It was also a bloodline that was in line with the great Tao in his heart. This way, although Gu Chencha's realm didn't increase, his potential, combat ability, and other qualities all increased tremendously. If I didn't have this to rely on, wouldn't I have been tricked by you? Gu Chencha's fist arrived and attacked. The world was filled with his power. All Law Realm. Fa Wuxian's body changed again, turning into a ring and allowing Gu Chansha to attack. Now that he had recovered some of his strength, the power was much stronger than before. Gu Chencha's power killed into the All Law Realm, but it was like a clay ox entering the sea, disappearing without a trace. Good. As expected of Fa Wuxian. Up until now, you still have the strength to fight. Gu Chencha's body shrunk, and his entire body charged into his All-Dharma realm. This All-Law realm was a domain formed by Fa Wuxian's magic power. It had the profound principles of devouring life and death, absorbing attacks, crushing all things, shocking the primordial spirit, and breaking all laws. This was also the ultimate art of the legalism school. The true omniscient realm was within the omniscient ring. That was the real law realm, the foundation of the legalism school as the #1 sage family, dominating the divine continent for thousands of years. Now that Fa Wuxian used this move again, he could also block Gu Chencha's attack. Gu Chansha was going all out. He actually charged into the law realm and exploded it from within. Sun and moon shined together. The moment he entered, Gu Chansha felt an enormous pressure. Almost everything inside was still and deathly still. If he had his previous cultivation, doing this would only result in death. But now he was different. He had absolute power. Rumble. He struck out with sun and moon shine together again. Endless light exploded from within, immediately destroying the all-law realm that Fa Wuxian had transformed into. Fa Wuxian's magic power collapsed and broke into pieces. It took a lot of effort for him to reform in the distance. He still isn't dead? Gu Chansha praised Fa Wuxian's life force. It was even stronger than a cockroach. Even at this stage, he still couldn't kill him. Very good. Gu Chansha, you won this time. But next time, you won't be so lucky. Fa Wuxian's reformed body suddenly disappeared. He actually left the cauldron and escaped. This cave abode, cauldron, and martial monarch blood were all gone. But he took the ancient underworld relic with him. What a guy. He's really willing to part with it. Gu Chansha didn't chase after him. In his eyes, the cauldron and martial monarch blood were more important than Fa Wuxian himself. The cauldron was the remains of the dragon transformation tower. If it was merged with the all-people's wish sphere, it could strengthen its power and transform the touch of ghostly god into the heavenly demon tree. This cauldron was 10 times more powerful than the dragon transformation tower that Gu Chansha had obtained. It was even more mysterious than the dragon gate that he cultivated. It could be said to be an important treasure. With the martial monarch blood, the all-people's wish sphere would probably take another 100 years to reform. Not to mention, there were many elixirs, rare herbs, magical treasures, weapons, armors, and puppets stored in the underwater cave. There were 81 altars in the underwater cave, and there were huge divine statues and puppets. Gu Chansha had long recognized that these divine statues were sacred dragon celestial soldiers. With so many sacred dragon celestial soldiers, they must have been left behind by a martial monarch. Immortal Ming-gu was a subject of a martial monarch. After the imperial court was destroyed, he brought the treasures out and built this underwater cave. He cultivated bitterly, but unfortunately, he died. No matter what, this cave abode was such a big piece of meat. If he didn't swallow it, he would be letting down the imperial court and the calming immortal department. After estimating the amount of wealth inside, the tranquil department would probably become rich again. 81 sacred dragon, celestial soldiers. This was a priceless treasure. F.A. Wuxian discovered this cave abode and didn't move the treasures back to the legalism faction. It was possible that he didn't want the legalism faction to find out. Although he was a natural saint and a top expert in the legalism faction was a giant family with thousands of years of history. They were the top family in the God continent, so they didn't have as many experts as the Jing family. Even F.A. Wuxian couldn't use the power of the unified Dharma cutting ring. Compared to Gu Chunsha, who could use the all-people's wish sphere, his position was much lower. Of course, he hid the treasures himself. If he brought them back to the family, he wouldn't get any benefits. Instead, they would be split up by the other giants. Based on the intel from Gu Chensh's calming immortal department, there were no less than 3 experts who were above the 30 Dao realm. There might even be saints like the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor and Li Wanlong. The number of other experts was uncountable, and there were even more who had cultivated magic power. As for the other families, they weren't as terrifying as the legalism faction. Thinking about it, even the Heavenly Talisman Emperor made the legalism faction's female empress. The God Continent's top aristocratic family definitely lived up to its name. Gu Chensha understood the internal strife within the aristocratic families. It was really cruel and bloody. Maybe the other disciples in the family would hate F.A. Wuxian. Calming Immortal Department was just formed and there weren't many internal strife. Now, everyone was united. However, if this went on in a few decades, once they recruited more people, internal strife would be unavoidable. He didn't think about all of this for now. The moment F.A. Wuxian left, Gu Chunsha looked at the martial emperor blood. He could already see that the martial emperor blood was the core of the pill furnace. If one didn't refine the 5 emperor blood, one wouldn't be able to control the entire pill furnace. Okay, let me see how strong the martial emperor blood that even F.A. Wuxian can't shake is. Fighting with the martial emperors is also a great form of training. Gu Chunsha suddenly punched up and punched at the martial emperor blood. When Gu Chunsha punched the blood, it immediately released countless rays of light. There were even immortal music and sage music coming from it. However, it wasn't broken by Gu Chunsha. Instead, it started to absorb Gu Chunsha's energy. Oh, it is indeed extraordinary. Gu Chunsha had already expected this move. He withdrew his energy to bring out some of the imprints in the 5 emperor blood. He purposely let the 5 emperor blood absorb his energy. That way, he could obtain some memories. To Gu Chunsha, the energy of the martial emperor blood was secondary. The most precious thing was the memories, which contained the secrets of the great desolate Ian's Dragon's Gate. As Gu Chunsha retracted and hooked, a wave of incomparable memories surged out from the 5 emperor's blood and was about to enter his sea of consciousness. Just as he was about to accept it, he felt a strong sense of danger. He quickly closed his sea of consciousness. However, the memory seemed to want to forcefully enter his sea of consciousness and take over. This martial emperor blood wants to take over my body. Gu Chunsha was extremely shocked. Could it be that the martial emperor is not completely dead? Boundless memories surged out. Even though Gu Chunsha's sea of consciousness had undergone the Grotto Heaven ritual and contained a Grotto Heaven space, it couldn't withstand it. The Son of Heaven's God-sealing art has reappeared. I have obtained this bloodline in cultivation technique. I can comprehend it to perfection. After waiting for so long, this day has finally come. Chapter 381. Block it. Gu Chunsha's mind was on the verge of collapse. It was difficult for him to resist the martial emperor's corrosion. With Gu Chinch's current cultivation, he was actually not that weak. However, the martial emperor himself was an anomaly. Back then, his cultivation seemed to have broken through the 36 transformations, embodiment transformation. This kind of strength had already surpassed that of a sage. With such divine power and the will contained in a drop of blood, it was not something that an ordinary immortal could compare to. Gu Chinch's bloodline was something that the martial emperor's spirit had yearned for even in his dreams. During the era of the martial emperor, he had not obtained the heaven sacrificial talisman. Hence, when the martial emperor unified the world, he had not obtained the recognition of the aristocratic families. Actually, the martial emperor's background was also very strange. Rumor had it that he was the bastard son of the Wu family and was not valued. He was even suppressed, and his talent was not good. He lived at the bottom of the Wu family and did not receive much care from the family. He was even humiliated. Later, he had a fortuitous encounter and experienced all sorts of things. He comprehended the Tao of anomaly, established the imperial court, and unified the world. His relationship with the Wu family did not improve. There were many entanglements. But because of this, the fall of the martial emperor did not affect the Wu family. Otherwise, the Wu family would not be a sage family anymore. They would have completely fallen. Kill. Gu Chinches will shrank into a ball to resist the corrosion of the martial emperor's will. He hid his golden core in his Dantian grotto heaven and used his bloodline to hide inside. His entire body came out, tried to escape from the cauldron, but it was useless. The martial emperor's blood seemed to have a power that was sucking his cultivation power. In an instant, at least 1/3 of Gu Chinch's cultivation power was sucked away, including some bloodline power. Although these could be cultivated back, he would be weakened because of it. If this goes on, I will be sucked dry and successfully possessed. Gu Chinsha roared, I have to do it. He used all his strength and tried to summon the heavenly talisman emperor's bloodline again. Unfortunately, the bloodline did not appear. Luckily, he had expected this. He used all the bloodline in his body and simulated the aura and majesty of the heavenly talisman emperor's bloodline. It was an aura that was like a mountain, and an ocean erupted from his body, and it expanded in the blink of an eye. Its might shook the heavens, suppressed the grand Tao, and overturned the chaos. In the instant it erupted, the martial emperors will actually felt apprehensive and relaxed its encroachment. Whoosh! Gu Chinsha escaped from the pill furnace and arrived at the underwater palace. Ah! Just as he was about to flee, a burst of wild laughter rang out from the cauldron. It was extremely domineering. All the items, treasures, pills, and even the 81 celestial sacred dragon soldiers flew into the cauldron. In an instant, the entire cave was clean. This caused Gu Chinch's wish of plundering without restraint and getting rich overnight to completely fall through. Next, the pill furnace flew up into the air and began to squirm and transform. Within a few breaths of time, it had taken the shape of a human. This humanoid figure was dressed in a monarch's attire and had a flat crown on his head. He was actually a peerless monarch. A martial emperor had returned to the human world. Gu Chansha wanted to leave this place, but the martial emperor incarnation of the pill furnace released a powerful aura that locked onto him, making it impossible for him to escape. In his opinion, the current martial emperor was much more terrifying than Jing Qiu. Finally resurrected, after the martial emperor incarnation of the pill furnace reappeared, he clenched his fist as if a demon had reigned over the world. Then, he suddenly looked at Gu Chansha and stretched out his hand. Young man, give it to me. What? Gu Chansha asked cautiously. Of course, it's the sacrificial talisman. You know the emperor's god sealing art, and your bloodline contains the sun and moon dragon blood. The martial emperor said, if I hadn't obtained your bloodline and comprehended a certain key point, I wouldn't have been able to completely resurrect. Of course, that kid with the bloodline of the Dharma saint, a natural-born saint, tried to refine my blood, but I secretly absorbed it. He also contributed greatly to my resurrection. Since that's the case, I will reward him. I won't kill you, nor will I kill that kid. I want to rule over the world again and establish an everlasting dynasty. The two of you are also talented, so be my subjects. I don't have the heaven sacrifice decree. Gu Qinsha remained calm. If I had the decree, I would have hidden in the sun-moon altar long ago. You wouldn't be able to do anything to me. Nonsense. The martial monarch shouted. Without the heaven's sacrificial talisman, how could you use the emperor's god-sealing art? How could you have the sun and moon dragon blood? Even after the emperor abdicated, the heaven's sacrificial talisman flew away and extracted all the memories and inheritances of this art. No matter how powerful the ancient emperor's arts were, he would have forgotten all about it and couldn't use it again. Times have changed. Don't you know that, martial emperor? Gu Qinsha suddenly sent a thought to the martial emperor. Let me introduce the current situation to you, martial emperor. The martial emperor frowned and accepted the thought. His expression gradually changed, and a look of disbelief gradually appeared on his face. I don't believe it. How could there be an emperor more powerful than me? And the heaven's sacrifice decree can be moved. You took the decree and flew away, but you still have all your power. Martial emperor, this isn't your era. Gu Qinsha knew that this was his only chance of survival. The resurrected martial emperor was terrifying, but he wasn't completely flawless. His cultivation base was probably at the level of 27 to 28 transformations. He was stronger than Jing Xiu, but not as strong as when he was at his peak. Do you know why you failed in the past? Because you were too weak, you couldn't support the hegemony. That's why everyone joined forces to kill you. And now, I've already told you what happened. Do you think you can rebuild your hegemony? There's actually an existence as strong as Gu Taxian in this world. He can even suppress the heavenly Daos. The heaven's sacrifice decree can be twisted. The martial emperor calmed down. I don't believe it. I want to see it with my own eyes. All right. Gu Qinsha knew that the martial emperor wasn't a devil. Back then, after he unified the world, he did a lot of good governance. His thinking was similar to the heavenly talisman emperors, but there were too many obstacles. As for the heavenly talisman emperor, he managed to suppress everything and create the current situation. However, could it be that Sir Martial Emperor wants to rebuild the dynasty and restore the foundation of the past? If that's the case, I won't allow it. Right now, the people of the world are living in peace and prosperity. If we develop steadily for a few decades, or even 100 years, I'm afraid we'll enter an era where everyone is like a dragon. Gu Qinsha continued. Isn't this the reason why you built the Dragon Transformation Pagoda? I really want to see what the Heavenly Talisman Emperor is capable of. Don't believe everything you say. You have to see it with your own eyes. The martial emperor's face was expressionless as he transformed again. This time, he looked like a middle-aged scholar. The aura of a monarch around him was completely retracted. Oh yes, it's strange now that I think about it. The heaven sacrifice decree fell into the hands of the Wu clan. Furthermore, it's a female named Wu Dankong. Gu Qinsha spoke again. Wu clan. The martial emperor laughed. This aristocratic clan is old-fashioned and lacks creativity. How can they understand my ideals? However, I've left behind a backup plan in many places. Now that this drop of blood has awakened, it has gained some power. It needs to recover to its peak. If you're willing to become my subject, I can give you countless benefits. Benefits? Gu Qinsha laughed. I think it's better for me to bring Sir Martial Emperor around the Divine Land. In the past, Sir Martial Emperor hated the barbarians the most. The first place I'll bring Sir Martial Emperor to see is the wilderness. What do you think? That's exactly what I was thinking. The Martial Emperor suddenly waved his hand, and a set of armor appeared on Gu Qinsha's body. This armor was transparent, invisible to others, but Gu Qinsha felt as though his entire body was being restrained. He couldn't even cast any magical arts. This is the immortal trapping armor. I want to prevent you from escaping and contacting the outside world to kill me. I know you have some strength. After all, I haven't fully recovered, and there's a chance that you'll join forces to kill me. That's why I'm using this immortal armor to seal you up. Your every move is under my control. If you make any strange movements with a single thought from me, this immortal armor will shrink and make you suffer a fate worse than death. Gu Chench's expression didn't change. He secretly activated his cultivation method. As expected, once it seeped out of his body, it was suppressed. He seemed to be sealed inside. In other words, he couldn't fly or fight anyone. If you want to fly, you can use the immortal armor's power. The martial emperor said again. This immortal armor can allow you to fly quickly and protect you from being ambushed. But that's all. If you want to attack others, don't even think about it. The martial emperor's way of doing things is really meticulous. Gu Chensha didn't resist. He knew that any resistance would be futile. Instead, he would be killed by the martial emperor. The martial emperor wasn't an evil demon, but he definitely wasn't a kind person. As the emperor who once unified the divine land, he was decisive. Those who submitted to him would prosper, and those who opposed him would perish. This was a necessary element for an emperor. Don't worry, Lord Martial Emperor. I just want to show you the divine land. Gu Chensha said, I don't have any enmity with Lord Martial Emperor. In fact, we're on the same side. Back then, the barbarian tribe, the immortal Tao, the demon race, the monster race, and even the three great heavenly venerables were all Lord Martial Emperor's enemies. I believe that since the Martial Emperor has been resurrected, he must be looking for them for revenge. The three great heavenly venerables. When the Martial Emperor heard this, a look of hatred immediately appeared on his face. He didn't try to hide it at all. It was clear that his hatred for the three great heavenly venerables was simply overwhelming and difficult to suppress. The three great heavenly venerables had something to do with the Martial Emperor's death. Otherwise, with the Martial Emperor's methods, the other sages couldn't do anything to him. Only the three great heavenly venerables could harm him. Chapter 382. The towering mountains were as thick as the sea. This was the great stone wall, the sturdiest stronghold. It was strong enough to withstand the barbarians' iron hooves and prevent them from entering Midland. Today, however, the great stone wall was more of a scenic spot. Countless scholars, commoners, martial arts experts, and even immortal cultivators and dignitaries climbed the Great Wall to enjoy the scenery of the wildlands. For this, the imperial court could collect a lot of money every day. The imperial court had even built a railway for iron cars to be sent from the provincial capital of each province to the vicinity of the Great Wall. Every time it would be full. At this time, two people appeared on the Great Stone Wall. They were Gu Chensha and Emperor Wu. Gu Chensha was being restrained by Emperor Wu. As expected, the immortal trapping armor could only be used to fly and protect him. It couldn't be used for other things, such as deriving a golden core or communicating with the world's wish sphere. The immortal trapping armor also changed his appearance. From an outsider's point of view, he was a well-built warrior clad in armor, loyally protecting his master as he traveled. No one would have guessed that he was one of the three famous directors of the coming immortal department. Your Excellency Emperor Wu, this great stone wall was built in the second year of the Heavenly Talisman. It's been 20 years since then, and it stretches for hundreds of thousands of kilometers. There are giant cannons on the wall and bastions below. Countless barbarians have died under the Great Stone Wall. Gu Chensha explained to Emperor Wu. Emperor Wu clasped his hands behind his back and looked into the distance. It was dusk, and the afterglow of the setting sun enveloped the entire Great Yonko. It looked like a golden kingdom. In the wildlands, cities were constantly being constructed. Smoke curled up from kitchen chimneys, and the voices of people could be heard. Huge iron carriages were galloping along the railway, driven entirely by the power of machines. On the cultivated farmland, there were machines that looked like iron oxen plowing the fertile black soil of the wildlands, which had been accumulated for countless years and planting crops. These are all made by mechanical mechanisms, Gu Chensha said. They're different from spells. Ordinary craftsmen can forge them together. That's right. These machines have existed since ancient times. The ancient Lord of Seven Star once made wooden oxen and flowing horses. The principles are pretty much the same, but I didn't expect it to be so widespread. The martial emperor pointed at the iron carriage and the iron oxen and said, these steel machines can only be used by civilians. If they encounter experts, they will most likely be destroyed. They're not very useful in battle. I once wanted to make steel puppets for the army, but I gave up on that idea. What is the driving force of these iron carriages and iron oxen? Is it extracted from the black oil in the western desert? No. The oil extracted from the black oil in the desert of the west has a strong smell. After burning, there will be black smoke. The oil used now is a mixture of several plants that are rich in oil. It is extremely pure. After burning, there will be no smoke, and its endurance far exceeds that of the black oil. Clipchamp explained to the martial emperor in detail, the people have already started to grow these plants on a large scale. The government will then purchase them and send them to the academy's factory to refine them. The students will then learn the process of refining them. Emperor Wu watched as the Wildlands' great emperor continued to build roads and houses. These houses were made of a mixture of steel and stone. First, he used steel to build a frame, then he used stone mud to water it. After it solidified, it became incomparably hard. There were also all kinds of stone mud pipes. This was unimaginable even during the era of martial emperors. Let's go. Emperor Wu and Clipchamp silently hid themselves and flew down the Great Wall. In the blink of an eye, they crossed thousands of kilometers and arrived at the city built in the Wildlands. What's that? Emperor Wu saw that there was a huge pond outside the city, and there were people continuously transporting trash, excrement, and other things into it. This is all sorts of garbage and excrement fermenting in the pond. It will produce a kind of swamp gas that can be used as fuel for cooking. After the garbage is fermented, it will kill off a lot of sickness and is very effective in fertilizing the fields. This way, the city can also be cleaned and won't have to suffer from the accumulation of garbage, Clipchamp said. This is the cycle of heaven and man as one, which the emperor proposed. Swamp gas. Emperor Wu remembered that there were many swamps in the Wildlands, and the gas that came out of them could be ignited. What kind of person was he? He immediately knew that this could change the way of life of the people. The city's waste had always been a problem that troubled the rulers. Since ancient times, plagues caused by this would often cause cities to die. Now, there were toilets in the city, and excrement would flow through underground pipes into the huge pond outside the city. Other than that, there were public bathhouses in the city that provided hot water. That's the street with the medical center, and the other side is the food and drink street. There are also areas that sell clothes, porcelain, and miscellaneous goods. The rich families live in the quieter eastern part of the city. Clipchamp introduced to the martial emperor as they strolled leisurely. School's over, school's over. Just then, a bell rang. After a while, a child's cheerful voice could be heard coming from a huge fortress in the distance. There were at least 10 of them, and there were at least 10 of them. It was a city school. Many children were dressed in uniforms and lined up, singing and laughing as they walked out. They were led home by their teachers. Lord Emperor Wu, please take a look. How are the spirits of these children? Clipchamp asked. They are well versed in both the pen and the sword. Emperor Wu nodded. Now, all the children who are Yonko must go to school. All the expenses are provided by the imperial court, including 3 meals a day, clothes, and books. There is a monthly assessment, and the outstanding ones will be rewarded with money, Clipchamp said. How will the imperial court pay for this? Emperor Wu frowned. We conquered the wilderness and expanded our territory, obtaining a large amount of fertile land. Using machinery to cultivate the land, the efficiency is 10 times higher than before. Moreover, the imperial court has developed rice seeds. Now, 1 mu of land can produce more than 1,000 caddies of food. Moreover, there are iron carriages everywhere, so it doesn't cost much to transport them. Clipchamp said, just this alone is enough to support the people. Other than that, the Calming Deity Bureau has conquered thousands of immortal sections. All of them are willing to pay taxes to the imperial court. At the same time, the imperial court allows them to recruit disciples from the common people and teach in schools. The Calming Deity Bureau is also willing to provide them with protection. Even 1/10 of the taxes collected every year is enough to support the financial expenses of the world. Calming Deity Bureau. Emperor Wu turned around and looked at Gu Qinsha. I can't believe I have never accomplished anything great in my life. You juniors, get to work. Rumble. At this moment, a voice rang out from a barren mountain in the distance. A few figures flew up and circulated their Xiantian astral energy to split open the barren mountain. They cut the rocks into pieces and opened up a river from within. These are experts of the immortal Tao between the 9 and 14 transformations. Why are they doing construction in the common people? Emperor Wu was surprised. This is the rule of the Calming Deity Bureau. Every day, the Calming Deity Bureau publishes a list of missions to the Immortal Tao sections. If the experts of the Immortal Tao sects complete the missions, they will be rewarded with merit points. With merit points, they can exchange for some pills and treasures of the Calming Deity Bureau. Gu Qinsha said, the Immortal Tao cultivators repair bridges and roads among the common people, open up barren mountains, and even get rid of pests in the fields. They treat diseases and plagues. The common people's government offices have some difficult things to do, so they ask the Calming Deity Bureau to issue missions. Of course, the Calming Deity Bureau will also collect remuneration from the government offices. We have to settle the financial matters. Emperor Wu didn't answer. He watched as the sun gradually set and darkness enveloped the land. At the same time, the street lamps on both sides of the city lit up. The whole city was brightly lit and full of life. These street lamps were made of moonstone powder and other materials. They absorbed sunlight during the day and released it at night. Moonstone was very precious in the past, but now it was almost common. Night market snacks. At this time, many small merchants pushed out wooden carts filled with small goods and food, forming a night market. Some of the common people also came out to play and shop. It was even livelier than during the day. The children were so excited that they ran around. This was truly a peaceful era. Teams of armored soldiers patrolled the streets, giving people a sense of security. Emperor Wu grabbed Gu Qinsha and flew up into the sky again. He looked down at the land. There were lights everywhere. It was almost night in the divine lands. After a long time, he sighed. Such a nation's fortune, the world will prosper forever. It's 10 times stronger than the empire I founded back then. If it continues to develop like this, it will be an unprecedented golden age in a few hundred years. How strong is the emperor's aura of this nation? At that time, there might not be any emperor's aura anymore. Gu Qinsha said, in other words, everyone is an emperor. However, the imperial court and the country will only be counted when that moment comes. As one of them, I naturally won't let the world suffer the calamity of war and ruin this great situation. I think Lord Martial Emperor also cares about the people in the world. You don't want the world to be destroyed, the world to be in chaos, and the people to be in misery. It's true that I cherish the world. Emperor Wu sneered. However, I cherish the world, not the people under me. No matter how good the world is, it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the Gu family. I must rule the divine lands again after my resurrection. I've observed for a day and used a secret technique to collect the memories of many common people. I've more or less understood the current situation of the imperial court. It's good that it's prosperous, but it's a false response. All of this is built on the foundation that your emperor, Gu Taxian, is still alive. If he really disappears, the world will immediately fall apart. Heroes will rise, and dragons and snakes will rise. Am I right? Looks like Lord Martial Emperor still wants to touch the world. Gu Qinsha knew that as a supreme overlord, there was no way this emperor would give up his goal so easily. Chapter 383. Lord Martial Emperor, even if the world is given to you now, with your cultivation base, can you do it safely? Gu Qinsha did not fear the Martial Emperor at all. I'm afraid that the immortal Tao's retaliation will tear you apart again. Your era has passed. Even if you manage to resurrect now, you can only be a hermit. Don't ever think about meddling in the affairs of the world again. No one dares to go against my decision. Killing intent flashed in Martial Emperor Wu's eyes. Although I encountered a calamity back then, I set up many things and didn't die completely. I haven't completely woken up all these years, but I've faintly comprehended the endless mysteries of heaven. I've operated the great Tao and comprehended the last flaw of the divergent. As long as I cultivate again, I'll definitely be able to jump out of the three realms and no longer belong to the five elements. Becoming an existence on the same level as the three Empyreans was just around the corner. In that case, the three great Empyreans will not be able to do anything to me, and I will naturally be able to do something that will dominate the world. Gu Qinsha was able to glean a lot of information from this conversation. A martial emperor was not a true divergent. He was still a step away from completely comprehending the supreme secret of a divergent. Lord Martial Emperor, even if you've cultivated to the same level as the three great heavenly venerables, then let me ask you, compared to the fiercest Xingqiang clan in the Divine Prefecture, who is the fiercest? Gu Qinsha asked. This Emperor was slightly taken aback. Back then, the Xingqiang clan appeared out of nowhere and was a peerless monster. He killed many ancient heavenly sons of heaven, and the three heavenly venerables joined forces to deal with him. Adding on to the fact that countless experts had come out in full force, the Xingqiang clan had been split apart, and its body had been suppressed in various secret locations. In reality, it had not died yet. This vicious beast really had the ability to pierce through the heavens. The three great Empyreans might not be able to do anything about it. I'm naturally no match for him. That's it then. Gu Qinsha said, even if it's as powerful as the Xingqiang clan, it can't avoid suffering a calamity. Why must Lord Martial Emperor be so persistent? That's exactly why it's more meaningful. Emperor Wu waved his hand. How would someone like you understand my ambition? According to your point of view, people have to live, age, get sick, and die. It's hard to surpass it, so there's no need to cultivate? If things were simple, I would have been able to unify the world very quickly. I would have found it boring instead. All right, we ask you, do you agree or not? Lord Martial Emperor, you're underestimating me. Gu Qinsha laughed and said, you are looking down on our tranquil immortal department. Our tranquil immortal department has been attacked by a sage and survived. You are just a drop of blood that has just awakened, and you want to control me with the remains of the Dragon Transformation Pagoda? You are delusional. Kacha Kacha, an inexplicable force descended. The trapping immortal armor on Gu Qinsha's body disintegrated layer by layer before disappearing. Then, another person appeared in front of the five martial monarchs. This person had a feather fan and silk handkerchief. He was tall and slender, and he wore a crane cloak. He had a sage-like demeanor and carried the aura of a peerless strategist. He could decide the future of the world and change the structure of the world while he was talking and laughing. The Lord of 7 Stars, Zhuge, had appeared. Congratulations on the awakening of the Martial Emperor. Zhuge held the feather fan in his hand and cupped it slightly. But after the Martial Emperor woke up, he actually kidnapped the king of the imperial court. This is a remnant of the previous dynasty plotting a rebellion. Lord of 7 Stars. The Martial Emperor looked at Zhuge with a deep sense of dread. A person's reputation was like a tree's shadow. The Lord of 7 Stars' fame had long since spread to many hidden dimensions. Naturally, Martial Emperors were well aware of how powerful she was. Martial Emperor, this is not your era. Your awakening was actually a mistake. Of course, if you're willing to give up on the idea of hegemony and join the calming immortal department, then contribute to the common people. That would be the right thing to do. Otherwise, I'm afraid the Martial Emperor will die again, and this time he'll be consigned to eternal damnation, said Zhuge. Not bad, not bad. The Martial Emperor nodded, not the slightest bit angry. Lord of 7 Stars, we'll meet again sooner or later. Whoosh! The Martial Emperor had actually disappeared without a trace. The Martial Emperor actually ran away. Gu Qinsha had expected a battle. Of course, as an emperor, he's extremely suspicious. Now that he's awakened, thousands of years have passed. He's naturally very careful and doesn't dare fight me head-on. I suspect he's still searching for something he left behind to recover his strength. Right now, he's not very strong. He doesn't dare rashly take risks, said Zhuge. How did you know I was trapped by the martial emperor, Mr. Zhuge? Asked Gu Qinsha. Your Highness, the common people's wish sphere was refined with your blood, sweat, and tears, and the ghost god touch tree was planted and cultivated by you, Your Highness. Its prosperity and decline are naturally related to you. If you're in danger, the sphere's destiny will fluctuate. As the Lord of Seven Stars, I have a profound understanding of the Tao of destiny. Naturally, I know what you've encountered. Zhuge's face lit up with delight. Congratulations, Your Highness. What's there to be happy about? I didn't succeed in dealing with Jing Qiu, nor did I succeed in dealing with Fa Wuxian. Instead, he took the ancient netherworld relic. Given time, he'll be even more terrifying and difficult to control. The martial emperor took all of the treasures in the ancient netherworld cave. I didn't get anything, and the martial emperor even extracted a third of my bloodline. I don't know if I can cultivate it back. Originally, I could have directly reached the 20th Tao realm transformation stage and cultivated magic. But now that my bloodline has thinned and my body's accumulation has decreased, it will be very difficult. Gu Qinsha felt that there was nothing to be happy about at all. You don't have to say that, Your Highness, Zhuge said. First of all, Your Highness has finally awakened the Emperor's bloodline. Using the Emperor's bloodline, you shattered many other bloodlines and merged them back into one. It is extremely pure, and your cultivation has truly merged with the inside and outside. Your Tao has become even more profound, so the loss of your bloodline isn't a big deal. As your cultivation deepens, your bloodline will recover. But my father's bloodline isn't effective at times, so I don't know how to activate it. Gu Qinsha said, the world is in chaos, and the martial emperor has appeared. He is a peerless hero and has comprehended the divergent Tao. If he wants to cause chaos in the world and restore the glory of the past, it will be dangerous. It doesn't matter. His awakening is actually a huge hidden danger. Zhuge was confident. This is the prince's biggest opportunity. What do you mean? Gu Qinsha didn't understand. That martial emperor awakened after absorbing your bloodline. Your bloodline contains Gaochen Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, Five Seasons God, and Sun Moon Dragon Blood. All of them were shattered and merged into one. This bloodline contains a rare ability. After he absorbs it, he can use it to awaken and obtain huge benefits. But if that happens, he will never be able to break away from you. We can use this to grab a chance and use the bloodline summoning technique to obtain all his memories and cultivation comprehension as resources. Apart from that, in the future, we will be able to grasp his actions. Like that, we can use him to do many things. Zhuge waved his fan and returned to the depths of the common people's wish ball with Gu Qinsha. At this moment, Liu Baiwei and Jin Suibo were no longer in the ball. Jin Suibo went outside to discuss all sorts of matters with the immortal Tao to reorganize and unite as one. Princess Yuefu went to the demonic domain to kill monsters with Liu Yu, Qian Zhen, Zhou Buimo Chao, and Jiao Yang in an attempt to speed up the evolution of the touch of ghostly and divine tree. Zhuge explained. 19th brother, have you also sensed father's bloodline? The 4th was still cultivating the ball and didn't go out. 4th brother, have you sensed father's bloodline before? Gu Qinsha asked in surprise. That's right. This happened when I was young. I encountered an extremely dangerous situation. I went out incognito and met people from the martial arts world. They saw my wealth and wanted to kill me. At that time, I saw that I was in a hopeless situation, so I suddenly activated the bloodline in my body and killed the criminals. From then on, I went from a medium aptitude to an unparalleled genius. I've never told anyone about this because I haven't sensed father's bloodline since then. The 4th recalled, father's bloodline is the strongest bloodline in the world. Unfortunately, we can't activate it at any time. We don't know what conditions are needed to finally activate it. Strange, very strange. Unfortunately, Father is in seclusion. Otherwise, I would like to ask him about this. Gu Qinsha recalled. He also didn't know why he suddenly activated it. If he activated it a few more times, his aptitude would probably make him a born saint. Logically speaking, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor was so powerful. How could his bloodline be weak? I've been trying to figure this out for many years, but I don't have any clues. The fourth said, Mr. Zhuge, do you have any suggestions? I really can't figure out anything about the Emperor's bloodline. It's up to you two to figure it out yourselves. Zhuge shook his head. What we need to do now is to plan to obtain the Martial Emperor's memories. The Martial Emperor's memories contain his understanding of the Tao of Deviance and his experience in the Dragon Gate of the primitive universe. If we can obtain these things, it will be of great help in figuring out our own martial arts. Both Gu Qinsha and the fourth had their own Tao. They had created their own cultivation methods. This method of creation was harder and harder as they progressed. It was not as fast as inheriting the orthodoxy of their predecessors and cultivating step by step. To create one's own cultivation method, one had to learn from other strong points and absorb their essence. Then, one would gradually refine their own knowledge. The more knowledge one absorbed, the more resources one would have. Although Gu Qinsha had accumulated a lot of knowledge, it was still not enough. If he could obtain the Martial Emperor's memories, he would have accumulated everything. Actually, we haven't obtained all of Jiang Gongwang's memories. If we could obtain all of them, we would be above the Martial Emperor's level, right? The fourth asked. Chapter 384. I need to recover the density of my bloodline first before I can cultivate mana. Luckily, I have shattered all my bloodlines and combined them into my own life true blood. Combined with my mental cultivation method, I can purify my bloodline during the process of cultivation. If I hadn't shattered them, for example, the North Star bloodline would have been extracted by someone else. Gu Qinsha would have lost this bloodline forever. He wasn't the North Star bloodline, so he couldn't produce this bloodline again. However, after the bloodline was shattered, it would become his own bloodline, the life true blood. The density of this bloodline would increase as Gu Qinsha's cultivation increased. For example, after the North Star bloodline was given to Jing Qiu, it could be replenished through cultivation. It was the same for the Azure Dragon. That was why Zhuge said that he wanted to congratulate Gu Qinsha. There is no problem with the density of the bloodline. Your Highness's cultivation has reached the level of multitasking. As long as you receive enough nourishment, you can quickly replenish it with the help of the Life's Wish Sphere and cultivate mana. Zhuge smiled. I can't consume the power of the Life's Wish Sphere when I cultivate. That would be too wasteful. The sphere has just been formed, and the accumulated power isn't enough. Gu Qinsha said, Bai Wei is killing demons in the depths of the demon area. I have to fight alongside her and sacrifice myself to the sphere. As he spoke, he suddenly flew out of the sphere. After a few flashes, he arrived at the bottomless sea of Sin in the center of the Sin province after dozens of breaths. Then, he entered the broken seal. In less than half a day, he arrived near the sacrificial altar that he had set up previously. As expected, Lu Yu and the other four were still fighting together. Gu Qinsha could have used the power of the sphere to tear the space and reach the sacrificial altar. However, that would consume the power that the sphere had accumulated for a few days. It wasn't worth it. He was extremely fast. He could fly to the seal of the Sea of Sin and enter the demon area to find the location of the sacrificial altar. Actually, it wouldn't take much time. At this moment, Lu Yu and the other four had reached the 19th transformation of Tao Realm, size manipulation. They were about to advance to the 20th transformation, gathering and dispersing impermanence. While Gu Qinsha was dealing with the Jing clan outside, Lu Yu's group of 5 was killing nonstop in the Devil's Domain. Killing demons, killing again, never stopping. When Gu Qinsha arrived, he was sitting quietly on the altar, refining what he had obtained. The murderous aura on their bodies was soaring, faintly revealing a blood-soaked sharpness. The eternal fighting in the demon area tempered one's combat power. The most typical examples were the celestial Tao realm disciples who were banished there. If they could survive, they would all become terrifying experts. Of course, Lu Yu's group of 5 relied on the sacrificial altar to replenish themselves, so they still had an advantage over the exiled immortal Tao disciples. In the demon area, the altar was like a bright light in the dark sea. It attracted many demons, especially the aura of God's bloodline on Lu Yu and the other 4. It was a great tonic for the demons. As the 5 of them became thicker and thicker, they attracted more and more fiends. That way, they didn't need to waste energy searching for them. They could just kill and refine them. Lu Baiwei left the sacrificial altar and headed deep into the demon area to train alone. Right, Baiwei also obtained the green dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, black tortoise, and North Star bloodlines. She wants to crush them and refine them into her own, which is why she entered the demon area to fight. Who knows if she will crush them? If not, we can cultivate again. Gu Qinsha waited there. Greetings, Lord. Lu Yu and the other 4 looked at Gu Qinsha and greeted him. There is no need to be so polite. In just a while, all of you will be able to cultivate spiritual power. Gu Qinsha looked at the 5 of them and was delighted. He was the one who watched them improve. One could say that he had groomed them step by step. After the 5 of them cultivated spiritual power, they could be compared to the 3 dukes and 8 marquises who were the pillars of the court. We must kill the demons and ensure peace for the world. The 5 of them said in unison. Who knew how many demons they had killed? Along with their sacrifices, the ghost god touch tree had grown by a lot. The light given off by the sacrificial altar was really intense. It formed a protective barrier to prevent demonic energy from invading. This was the result of too many sacrifices. Far away from the altar, there were many demon mountains. It seemed like some demons were hiding within and didn't dare to come forward to die. Demons were intelligent and wouldn't do things that were clearly suicidal. I wonder if the Skull Ash Demon Emperor is still around. Gu Qinsha missed the Skull Ash Demon Emperor who had schemed against him back then. That Demon Emperor was at the Tao Realm 22 transformation phenomenon of heaven and earth. However, Skeleton Demon Emperor's cultivation was weaker than Jing Fanqing's. Back then, Gu Qinsha wasn't his match. But as his cultivation improved, he could kill him in the blink of an eye. As for that Skeleton Demon Emperor, Gu Qinsha might not be able to beat him. As a Demon Emperor, his realm was definitely higher than Skeleton Demon Emperor's. Even if he was 1 realm higher, at the Tao Realm 23 transformation, past reflection, with Gu Qinsha's current cultivation, he probably wouldn't be his match. This transformation involved the secrets of time. Even Fa Wuxian was stuck at the 22 and wasn't able to comprehend the 23. One could see how difficult it was. Those who could comprehend and break through this level were all giants who dominated the world. Of course, even if one formed a golden core, it would be really amazing. Gu Qinsha was thinking about it when suddenly, a long roar spread out from the distance. It tore apart layers of demonic luck and spread over. It was Lu Baiwei. Gu Qinsha turned to look at him. He realized that behind Lu Baiwei, there was a giant demon hand chasing. Its aura was like that of a mountain, and demonic flames covered the sky. What strong demonic energy! When Gu Qinsha saw this, he knew that he probably wasn't his match. It definitely exceeded the 22 transformation phenomenon of heaven and earth. So, he flew up and charged over to meet up with Lu Baiwei. Then he punched in the air. He used sun and moonshine together. With his senses, Lu Baiwei instantly met up with him and used the great god-slaying techniques God Dusk. Wang, these 2 peerless martial arts converged together, bursting forth with boundless radiance. They gathered into a rumbling current that clashed with the giant demon hand. The demon hand's momentum was actually blocked, and it exclaimed in shock. At that moment, Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwei returned to the altar side by side. They looked at the demon hand transform into a teen. After he retracted the demonic energy, he looked like a celestial, like he had merged good and evil. Calm celestial divisions, two division heads came to the demon region together. As expected, they're going to start a bloodbath? The young demon smiled. I am not a demon. I was once a disciple of mysterious celestial sect and was exiled to the demon region. I spent hundreds of years with demons. I heard that Calm Celestial Division is recruiting celestial disciples and hopes to leave the demon region to join us. What do you think? Chinsha, don't believe this person. Lu Baiwa laughed coldly. The moment we met, he told me such things. But I found a reason to expose his ruse. He tried to kill me. People from the demon region can't be trusted at all. Gu Chensha nodded his head and communicated with Lu Baiwa mentally. However, this kid is really amazing. I'm afraid he has seen the past with the 23 changes of the Tao realm. The G-State Mysterious Sect is not a small sect. It was created by two ancient emperors, Shi and Ji, after they stepped down from their positions. After they stepped down, their cultivation was still really strong at the Saint Realm. This person was really exiled to the demon region by mysterious celestial sect. Lu Baiwa said, his mysterious celestial sect technique is really good. It is righteous and majestic. I used many methods but was suppressed by him. If the two of us work together, we might have a chance of capturing him. Gu Qinsha said, this person actually dares to chase you. Even if he runs to the ends of the world, we will kill him. It has been a long time since we fought and trained together. Lu Baiwa smiled. This is a good time to test our combat strength. If we kill this person, both of us will be able to break through. Lu Baiwa was at the 21 transformation Tao realm, 5-element body transformation. She was about to try for phenomenon of heaven and earth. Since she cultivated soul power and swallowed the 5-connate god beast bloodline, she reached the peak of 5-element body transformation. She wanted to shatter the bloodline in her body and turn it into her own. Gu Chunsha coincidentally activated Heaven Talisman Emperor's bloodline and shattered the 5 beasts in his body. Lu Baiwa didn't have such a fortuitous encounter, but Gu Chunsha felt that Lu Baiwa definitely had Heaven Talisman Emperor's bloodline in her body. It didn't mean that Lu Baiwa was Heaven Talisman Emperor's daughter, but when one reached Heaven Talisman Emperor realm, one's bloodline could be given. For example, Green Dragon and Go Chun could give their bloodline to others, much less Heaven Talisman Emperor. Since Heaven Talisman Emperor taught Lu Baiwa the great massacre god technique, then he definitely gave her bloodline too. Gu Qinsha was enlightened. He connected his golden core power with Lu Baiwa's. Their cultivation started to merge. Gu Qinsha's bloodline drilled into Lu Baiwa's and started to swallow Green Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and Go Chen's bloodline. These bloodlines gathered, and after Gu Qinsha swallowed them all, his bloodline became stronger. Not only did it replenish everything that Martial Emperor absorbed, but it also improved. But Lu Baiwa's aura became much weaker. But shortly after, the bloodline power that Gu Qinsha swallowed flowed into Lu Baiwa's body and helped her purify her bloodline. As the two of them cultivated, it was another earth-shattering change. Gu Qinsha breathed in and out. He was about to comprehend the power of laws and explode his golden core and body. Cultivate soul power. But he didn't do that. Instead, he injected as much of his bloodline power to Lu Baiwa. He had to first help Lu Baiwa cultivate Tao Realm 22 transformations, astronomical phenomenon. Chapter 385. Hearing this young man's words, Lu Baiwa and Gu Qinsha looked at each other and smiled, but they didn't make a move. How should I address you? What did you do in the mystical school to be banished to the infernal domain? From what we know, those who are banished usually commit unforgivable crimes. We have to investigate the past of anyone who joins the Celestial Commerce Department. Do you think we'll believe you just because you say you're a good person? I'm Hong Wending. 300 years ago, my junior sister and I were in love and wanted to get married. I hate that the mystical school's young sect master, Sheiji Longcheng, stole my love and framed me sending me to the infernal domain. This hatred can't be severed. Hong Wending's killing intent surged as he spoke. I cultivated bitterly in the infernal domain and had a fortuitous encounter. I narrowly escaped death and finally cultivated to my current realm, but it's still extremely difficult to take revenge. That's why I'm willing to join the Celestial Commerce Department. Recently, the infernal domain's seal has been broken, and I've received some news that the Celestial Commerce Department and the 72 mystical sects are incompatible. I'm willing to contact all the disciples who were banished from the infernal domain and have them all join the Celestial Commerce Department to take revenge on the mystical sections. Is that so? Gu Chen's heart moved. He communicated with Lu Baiwei. Since ancient times, the infernal domain has banished many disciples of the immortal Tao. Those who could survive are all experts. If they gather together, they'll be an extremely powerful force. There's also a drawback. 99% of the immortal Tao disciples banished to the infernal domain are vicious and evil people. It'll be difficult to control them if we recruit them. Lu Baiwei was worried about this. I'm also worried about this, but we can make use of these people. Gu Qinsha said, Jin Suibo has information on the immortal Tao. Find out if this person is speaking the truth. I'll deal with him now. As he spoke, Gu Qinsha laughed heartily and said, Actually, our Celestial Tranquility Department and the 72 mystical sects of the immortal Tao aren't as incompatible as fire and water. It's just that these mystical sects refuse to pay taxes and break the rules of the imperial court. They're treasonous and have no regard for the common people of the world. Wait a moment. Our Calming Immortal Department is investigating your information. If what you said is true, we will definitely help you clear your name. Our Calming Immortal Department is in charge of the internal affairs of the immortal Tao. Then I shall await your good news. Hong Wending did not make a move. He was calm and composed. After dozens of breaths, Jin Suibo replied, The mystical school estate did expel a disciple called Hong Wending several hundred years ago. However, the records of the sect stated that this Hong Wending was extremely vicious, raping a female disciple in the sect. He was caught by the disciplinary elder and thrown into the infernal zone. Gu Qinsha nodded, a playful smile on his face as he relayed the information he had just obtained. Shameless. Hong Wending let out a long howl of grief and indignation. Everyone, please investigate this. I was framed. Naturally, the sect has to cover up the truth of my being framed. They purposely smeared my name and made me out to be a heinous criminal. You and the mystical school estate have your own version of the information regarding this matter. We can't make a judgment either. At this moment, Lu Baiwei spoke up. However, if you want our Celestial Tranquility Department to investigate this matter, it's very simple. You just have to obtain enough merit points. Go capture devils. 20 of them in the Golden Core realm, 2 of them in the Transcendence Energy realm, or 1 of them at the same realm as you. Once you've captured them, you'll be rewarded. We'll investigate this matter for you. If you've been framed, you'll naturally have your name cleared. You can join our Celestial Tranquility Department. Are you willing? Celestial Tranquility Department is indeed fair and orderly. The rules are strict. I'm impressed. I'll go capture devils right now. Just you wait. Hong Wending suddenly said and flew off into the distance. What do you think this person is planning? Lu Baiwei asked. Whether it's real or fake, it's hard to tell. If he is alone, we can join hands to fight him. If we work together, we have a high chance of killing him. Gu Qinsha said, even if he is at the Tao realm 23 transformations, I suspect that he has a group behind him. But I suspect there's a group behind him, and he's just here to test us. Over the years, there have been millions of disciples who have been sent to the demon region. Those who survived will definitely group up. If they don't, their chances of survival will be even slimmer. That's very possible. We build an altar in the demon domain and start a massacre. It's very possible that those people know about it. At first, this person wanted to capture me, but when he saw that we were working together, he immediately changed his mind. He's also a cunning person. Lu Baiwei smiled. But to let him kill demons to sacrifice, anyway, he will definitely earn. Let's see what he can do. Large amounts of demons are gathered not far from the seal. They are building fortresses and gathering troops to attack once more. Guqinsha said, "That is the most important thing to solve. Baiwe, do you think that if we work together, we could destroy those fortresses?" "I'm afraid not." Lu Baiwe furrowed his brows. "I've probed the place several times and managed to kill a few demons. But now, there are more and more demons over there, and I can vaguely sense that there are experts hiding among them. Moreover, the gigantic nether iron fortresses are connected to one another, absorbing and spitting out demon energy to form a formation. It's as if they're trying to complete some kind of killing formation. Even I don't dare to barge in recklessly, lest I fall into a tight encirclement and be killed. What's more frightening is that these demons that have gathered here are likely driven by the will of a demon god expert. The demons in the demon region are endless, and their numbers far exceed that of humans. If they all head out, they can cause an unprecedented disaster in the Godland. How terrifying! How terrifying! Guqinsha frowned. He had already activated his core chi and suddenly flew high into the sky of the demon region. He turned into a heavenly eye and observed the situation near the broken seal. He discovered that the nether iron fortresses in the vicinity were connected to one another, almost comparable to the Great Wall of Stone. These fortresses were engraved with densely packed spell formations that constantly absorbed demonic chi, condensing into all kinds of demonic statues. It was almost as if a group of demons was dancing wildly. Countless demonic armies resided in the nether iron fortresses, and they were all chanting demonic curses. These curses condensed into demonic runes that swept out, covering the sky and earth. Good heavens, there are at least hundreds of millions of demons gathered here. If I capture them all and let my touch of the ghostly tree absorb them, it can probably become a heavenly demon tree. Guqinsha's scalp went numb. What was even more terrifying was that there were demon experts in the depths of these fortresses. Of course, even ordinary demons were difficult to deal with when there were many of them. It was fine if the demons were chaotic, but if they cooperated with each other and chanted the curse, it would be difficult to deal with them. Guqinsha was proficient in the Maha prison suppression scripture and knew that this was the Maha infinite mantra. It was a supreme technique that combined offense and defense. Even ordinary demons could chant it, and when combined with meditation, they could use their voices to mobilize demonic energy for their own use. The power of one demon chanting the curse was average, but the destructive and defensive power of 10 demons combined was considerable, and the power of 100 demons was even greater. There were hundreds of millions of demons gathered in the densely packed nether iron fortresses, and there was no lack of experts among them. Even the demons who had cultivated connate stellar energy were very powerful when chanting the Maha Infinite Mantra, not to mention that there were many Golden Core experts, and even some demons who had cultivated dermic powers. When Guqinsha saw this, he knew that it would be difficult to shake the demons gathered in the nether iron fortresses. He was deeply worried. These demons were still gathering, clearly preparing for something. As long as they were ready, they would break through the seal and reach the Godland. That would be the beginning of the turmoil. But there was nothing he could do now. Even if he cultivated dermic powers, it would be useless. The demons had gathered together, and the general trend was already formed. If he went in alone, he would only be courting death. Thinking of the demons gathering and about to erupt at any time, Jing Xiu, Fa Wuxian, Wu Di, and the others stirring up trouble and destroying the good situation of the world, he was extremely angry. There are too many demons in the nether iron fortresses, and they're chanting the Maha Infinite Mantra to mobilize demonic energy and condense it into a demon statue. This way, as time passes, the power gathered in the nether iron fortresses will become more and more powerful, and the density of demonic energy will become very high. Guqinsha frowned. We need to find a flaw and break it in one fell swoop. Only then can we resolve the crisis in the future. His Majesty has sealed the demon domain for 20 years, causing more and more demons to gather in the demon domain, and it is difficult to vent them. At this time, the seal has been shaken by the great changes in the world, and it is only a matter of time before the demon disaster comes. This demon domain is vast, and hundreds of millions of demons are nothing. Apart from that, there are many layers of the demon domain, and the demons are endless. We can only try our best to maintain it. Lu Baiwe also felt that the situation was not optimistic. The two of us can only join forces to kill the demons coming from all directions. Gu Qinsha thought about it, and this was the only way to deal with the urgent matter at hand. At this time, on an extremely ancient demon mountain in the boundless distance. This demon mountain was completely made up of bones. The body of the mountain seemed to be the skeleton of an ancient giant beast, and each bone was like a divine pillar that reached the heavens. Even a single claw of the beast was as large as a city. On top of the bone devil mountain sat a woman. She was very beautiful and did not seem to fit in with the demon domain. At this moment, Hong Wending, who had been chatting with Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwe, flew over and landed in front of the woman. He actually knelt down on one knee and said, "Your subordinate pays his respects, immortal master. Rise." The woman who had been addressed as immortal master had a beautiful voice. I didn't think that the Celestial Commerce Department would be so capable. They didn't immediately try to recruit you. Immortal master, what should your subordinate do next? Hong Wending asked respectfully. In that case, go kill the demons. You must join the Celestial Commerce Department. I've already divined that the destiny of this organization is flourishing and that there will be many benefits for you in the future. You joining them is my first step. The woman who was known as the Immortal Master tapped her finger lightly. In addition, we need to make use of this demon disaster to return to the Celestial Calmness Department and become the new profound sect of the Tao of Immortals. I've been working hard in the demon domain, protecting disciples like you who are exiled here. I'm hoping that one day I'll make use of this opportunity to return. Immortal Master has given me a new lease on life. Hong Wending said, your subordinate will definitely do his best and not let you down. Very good. The Immortal Master nodded her head. You've comprehended the secrets of time and reached the 23 transformations of the Tao realm. You're definitely one of the elites in my sect. And in many other mystical sects, your cultivation is probably one of the candidates for the position of sect leader. Based on what I know, the current young sect leader of the state mystical sect, the person who framed you back then, is only at the 22 transformations of the heaven and earth. When he heard these words, Hong Wending's gaze was filled with hatred. He kowtowed once more and left. Chapter 386. Swoosh. Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwe left the altar and searched for fiends to kill. There was no lack of fiends in the fiend domain, especially now. Under some mysterious summoning order, many fiend armies were gathering towards the broken seal. Gu Qinsha couldn't do anything to the fiends in the Nether Iron Fortress, but he could join forces with Lu Baiwe to intercept the reinforcements and prevent the fiend army from increasing. Mahakasayapa Black Sun Art. Gu Qinsha was still executing this art in the fiend domain. Boundless fiendish aura surged over, forming all sorts of vortexes that condensed into a black sun above his head. At this moment, when he joined forces with Lu Baiwe, the might of the Mahakasayapa Black Sun was several times stronger than it was back then. In the fiend domain, all immortal martial arts would be restricted by the fiendish aura and the characteristics of the fiend domain. They couldn't unleash their full might, but by executing a fiend martial art, they could unleash a portion of their might by twofold. However, if one executed too many fiend martial arts here, the demonic nature would seep into one's body and cause one to suffer a chi deviation. Only the Mahakasayapa scripture could unleash its might to the greatest in the fiend domain, surpassing all fiend arts. Furthermore, it wouldn't cause one to suffer a chi deviation. It could even fuse good and evil, expelling the demonic nature and returning to clarity. From this, it could be seen that the Mahakasayapa god was indeed not an evil god. However, the scripture of hell suppression that Gu Chansha had learned wasn't complete, even though he had received some teachings from the Skull Ash Devil Emperor. Actually, it was nothing compared to the vast sea of scriptures. The Mahakasayapa scripture was widely spread in the fiend domain, but the truly profound essence could only be obtained by ancient fiend celestials or even fiend sages. Those fiend celestials and fiend sages were existences that had served the Mahakasayapa god, so they could obtain the teachings. Gu Chansha had always wanted to obtain the complete Mahakasayapa scripture in the fiend domain. If he could obtain it, it would be a great resource for him. Right now, he was constantly absorbing all kinds of knowledge to strengthen himself. Once the knowledge fell into his sea of consciousness, it would be calculated by his multitasking primordial spirit force, turning it into something that belonged to him bit by bit. From there, the true essence of life, nourishing the heavens, was brewed. On the ground, there was a group of thousands of devils walking, also carrying underworld iron ores. As Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe flew through the sky, they activated the black sun slightly. The black light shone on the devils, causing them to wither and turn into skeletons. Their essence, energy, and soul were all absorbed by the black sun. The more the Maha-Black Sun absorbed, the more powerful it became. In the end, it could even condense into corporeal form, becoming an extremely powerful magic treasure. However, Gu Chansha didn't want to cultivate this demonic treasure. Instead, after absorbing enough essence, blood, and souls of the devils, he would sacrifice the Maha-Black Sun to the Life's Wish sphere to feed the touch of the Ghost God tree. Evolving the touch of the Ghost God tree into the Heavenly Demon tree was the most difficult stage. Gu Chansha wanted to advance the tree in one go. This was because this tree was refined with his blood, sweat, and tears. It was closely related to him. According to the Heavenly Demon Tome, the Heavenly Demon tree was the strongest among the many magic treasures. Once it was refined, its aura could connect to heaven and earth. In the depths of space-time, there would be countless ancient sages of the demon race congratulating them. The refiner would obtain a lot of information and experience, and might even come into contact with some of the mysteries of the primordial chaos tree. Therefore, Gu Chansha didn't want to advance to the realm of dermic power for the time being. Instead, he wanted to accumulate enough energy to upgrade the Heavenly Demon tree. At the instant of the upgrade, he would obtain some ancient information from countless sages of the demon race. This way, his understanding of dermic power would become clearer, and the dermic power he cultivated would be extremely pure, far surpassing other experts. Cultivating dermic power was an extremely powerful transformation. It could also be said that he had stepped into the initial stage of comprehending the laws of heaven and earth. If he could build a good foundation at this step, it would be very beneficial to his future improvement. Lu Baiwe and Gu Chansha worked together to control the Maha-Black Sun to patrol the demon domain. The Black Sun's light shrouded an area of thousands of miles. As long as they were under the Black Sun's light, any devil would be engulfed in ecstasy. Moreover, in the areas where the Maha-Black Sun's light shone, all the devil chi would be absorbed. There were actually areas without devil chi. The mountains, rivers, and earth seemed to be purified. The Maha-Black Sun actually has the ability to purify the demon domain. Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe were increasingly aware of the profundities of the Maha-Suppression scripture. As they activated it, they patrolled a few more areas and absorbed many devil teams. Among these devil teams, there were some experts who had cultivated connate stellar energies and even essence soul realms. However, how could they be Gu Chansha's match? As they controlled the sun to patrol the demon domain, the feeling of eliminating all devils within 1,000 miles was extremely refreshing. The speed at which they absorbed the fiends was also amazing. After 14 to 16 hours, Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe had absorbed more than 100 teams. There were hundreds of thousands of fiends, which was close to 1 million. Of course, 99% of the fiends were fiend soldiers who had yet to cultivate to the Tao realm. However, when there were so many of them, the amount of souls and blood essence gathered was quite considerable. One shouldn't underestimate those fiend soldiers who hadn't reached the Tao realm. They were all experts in martial arts, and even martial arts masters in the mortal world might not be able to deal with them. Many of them had copper skin and iron bones. Blades and swords couldn't injure them, and they were born with immense strength. Some fiend soldiers were martial arts masters like the dark armor Great Demon. If they charged out, even experts at the second or third transformation of the Tao realm might not be able to deal with them. As for normal civilians, they weren't a match for any of the fiends. Each demon killed would mean one less commoner being harmed in the future. Gu Qinsha definitely wouldn't show mercy to any of them. Woo 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 woo. Amidst the cries of ghosts and gods, a 100-mile demonic flame cloud appeared and stopped not far away from Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwei. It turned into a black throne, and a demon sat on it. This demon was really thin and was the height of 3 to 4 people. He looked like a mummy, and his body was wrapped in a thick cloth. Beside the throne stood a few demon emperors. One of them was the skeleton demon emperor that Gu Qinsha had tricked. He was at the 22nd transformation of the Tao realm, phenomenon of heaven and earth. Gu Qinsha had killed Ku Ding and Ku Si demon emperor, leaving behind only Ku Ge. He came to the demon region to find this old friend and kill him. Who knew that this demon would actually send himself to him? The one sitting on the black throne was obviously the skull black demon emperor. Gu Qinsha had killed Ku Ding and Ku Si before and obtained their memories. He knew that their chief was the skeleton demon emperor. This demon emperor was most likely at the 23rd transformation, past reflection. But Gu Qinsha didn't care. If he worked together with Lu Baiwei, along with the fact that they could sense the common people's wish ball, they could definitely kill him. However, using the power of the common people's wish ball to tear open space and descend into the demon region would consume a lot of energy. Even if they sacrificed this demon emperor, they wouldn't be able to obtain much. It would be best if they used Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwei's own strength to kill him. Skeleton demon emperor, we meet again. You actually dare to appear in front of me? Gu Qinsha sent out a mental message to communicate with these demons. The one sitting on the black throne was the skeleton demon emperor. Beside him was not only the skeleton demon emperor, but there were also a few other demon emperors on the same level as him. Damn humans! The skeleton demon emperor was furious, now that the skeleton demon emperor is personally attacking. Let's see how all of you can escape. All of you will die in this demon region. Ku Chun, Ku Hun, Ku Li, Ku Si, Ku Bao, what are you waiting for? Capture these two and hand them over to the skeleton demon emperor. Skeleton demon, what right do you have to order us? Although your cultivation level is high, you haven't reached the level where you can give us orders. We only listen to the skeleton demon emperor. Immediately, a demon emperor laughed coldly, his mental message full of mockery. That's right, skeleton demon, you didn't do your job well in the first place. You caused the deaths of Ku Ding and Ku Si. You can't absolve yourself from the blame within the race for this mistake. You should be crippled of your magic power and devoured by us to increase our strength. Another demon emperor yelled. This situation made Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwei not know whether to laugh or cry. Who would start quarreling and mocking each other in the face of an enemy? This also showed that the demon race was selfish and didn't care about teamwork. They could betray at any time. Even if they were on the same side, they would stab each other in the back and devour each other. Falling out with friends, being ungrateful, and even killing and devouring each other were common. The only thing the demon race cared about was strength. Those with high strength would suppress those with low strength. Layer by layer, there was some order. Most of them were in a state of chaos and killing one another. This was the weakness of the demon race. Otherwise, with how strong they were, they would have occupied endless land long ago. Of course, if not for that, they wouldn't be demons. All of you shut up. The skull black demonic emperor on the throne said, set up a formation. I'll kill them myself. Yes. These devil emperor skeleton ashes, skeleton dust, skeleton soul, skeleton lee, skeleton thorn, and skeleton bow didn't dare to speak after hearing the skull-black demon Thearka's words. In fact, the skull-black demon, the arch, could see their little movements. At the 23 Tao realm transformation, one would be able to see through everything. Their subordinates wouldn't be able to hide anything, otherwise they would be able to see through everything. Unless there was someone stronger than them hiding from the heavens, they would be able to see through everything. These demon emperors spread out, and many treasures appeared on their bodies. They were all huge banners. These banners floated in the demonic energy, and in an instant, many threads shot out from them. They covered the sky and turned into a net. Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe didn't dodge and just looked on as the treasures were used. They didn't care at all. Gu Chansha could tell that this was the heaven and earth dust net from the Maha Hell Suppression scripture. He didn't know this technique, and it used demonic energy to refine and gather the thoughts of demons to form a dust net. When this net was used, it would pollute one's strength. He only knew that there were records of it, but he didn't know how to cultivate it and didn't get the cultivation method. Long. Chapter 387. Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwe weren't afraid at all. Their bodies swelled up as one. Gu Qinsha secretly used the Son of Heaven God sealing technique, while Lu Baiwe used the Great Massacre God technique. Both of their powers circulated in their bodies before suddenly surging out. Rip! The heaven and earth dust net that the few demon emperors laid out was broken right away. The skull-black demon emperor's attack was reflected back, causing him to retreat. Even the black throne was smashed into pieces. When Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe worked together, their combat strength was much stronger than when they fought separately. It wasn't as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. It was 10 times stronger. The skull-black demon emperor isn't simple. It is easy for us to defeat him, but to capture him and kill him will be really difficult. Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe succeeded in one move and were about to discuss tactics to expand the battle. It would be best if they could capture a few demon emperors. Just at that moment, a person suddenly charged into the battlefield. Long. This person charged in and his entire body spread out. His powers shocked everyone and a picturesque scene unfolded. It's Hong Wending. This is the transformation of the state dynasty map. Gu Chansha saw it clearly. He is helping us deal with the skull-black demon emperor. Lu Baiwe didn't need Gu Chansha to remind her. She had seen it long ago. Hong Wending had instantly wrapped up the skull-black demon emperor. The skull-black demon emperor hollered in rage and wanted to break the map. But it wasn't that easy. The two of them were fighting intensely. Good chance. As long as he restricted the skull-black demon emperor, the other demons would be easy to deal with. Ku Chun, Ku Hun, Ku Li, Ku Ci, Ku Bao, these demon emperors were all at the 18 transformations of the Tao realm. Some were at the 19 transformations. Anyway, none of them were stronger than Ku Han. Capture. At that moment, Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe grabbed the chance and flew out. They grabbed in the air and numerous lights flew out, turning into ropes that tied up these demon emperors. In the blink of an eye, the skull-black demon emperor was tied up by Gu Chinch's rope and couldn't move at all. This rope was formed by Gu Chinch's core energy. It flew out silently and was extremely mysterious. As long as one was tied up, one wouldn't be able to change size at all. Even if one cultivated size manipulation, one wouldn't be able to change size as one wished. Even if one cultivated chi, one wouldn't be able to. This was the Sun-Heaven God sealing technique, Sun-Moon transformation. He used the Sun-Moon transformation to activate his core chi, which transformed into the Sun-Moon immortal binding rope. Once the rope flew out, it would hit its target 100% of the time. It bound the immortal and prevented him from transforming. After cultivating to this point, Gu Chinch's Heaven-Earth God sealing art, Sun-Moon Radiance 10 stances, have become increasingly mystical. After all, this technique was the top technique in history. As his cultivation increased, Many abilities that he couldn't use in the past were activated. Shwa, 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 shwa. All the demon emperors, including Ku Hun, were tied up by the sun-moon, celestial binding rope. He tried to use phenomenon of heaven and earth, but he was unable to change it all. Being tied up by the sun-moon, celestial binding rope, he couldn't use his powers at all. It was like a baby trying to move a huge rock. After all the demon emperors were tied up, Gu Chunsha and Lu Baiwe clasped their hands together. Instantly, all the demon emperors were squeezed and shrunk. They gathered into a palm-sized crystal that landed in Gu Chinch's hands. Among them, the Skull Hun demon emperor hadn't mastered size manipulation, so his body couldn't shrink at all. However, under the power of Gu Chunsha and Lu Baiwe, his body was forcefully compressed. His golden core left his body and was sealed in the crystal. The others had all mastered size manipulation, so they would shrink at the slightest pressure. Needless to say, the Skull Hun demon emperor was like a mosquito frozen in amber. All of them were in despair. Before Gu Chansha shattered his major bloodlines, his strength was already far above Jing Fanqing's, and Jing Fanqing's strength was 2 to 3 times that of the Skull Hun demon emperor. Now that Gu Chinch's strength had increased a lot, and he had teamed up with Lu Baiwe, the Skull Hun demon emperor could naturally be sealed with a flick of a finger. Actually, the two of them could even suppress the Skull Hun demon emperor if they teamed up and spent some time. Bang! At that moment, there was a loud explosion. Who knew what technique the Skull Hun demon emperor used to actually break the seal of the mountain and river state map and break free from it? Both the Skull Hun demon emperor and Hong Wending were experts at the 23 Dao realm future sight realm. Since they were at the same realm, naturally, it wouldn't be so easy for a winner to be decided. Hong Wending's strength was slightly higher, but the Skull Hun demon emperor had a trump card too. They weren't sick in the head like Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe, who could kill people across realms. At the same realm, one could fight for a month, or even a few months, or even a year without a winner being decided. It seems like Hong Wending is helping us to suppress this demon. With his help, it will be much easier for us to suppress this demon. Luckily, this demon hasn't reached the 24 Dao realm future sight realm. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Lu Baiwe and Gu Qinsha immediately made their moves. As the two of them mobilized their powers, their mana surged out and transformed into a giant sphere in the air. It was a simulated common people's wish ball. Gu Qinsha's core energy and Lu Baiwe's powers mixed together, and the simulated ball was extremely huge. In just an instant, it replaced the mountain and river state map and wrapped around the Skull Hun demon emperor. At that moment, Hong Wending was also helping. The mountain and river state map that he had turned into shrunk and entered the ball. He clashed with the Skull Hun demon emperor once more to whittle down his energy. If not, without him suppressing him, the Skull Hun demon emperor might have used some forbidden techniques to break free. The Skull Hun demon emperor is quite amazing. Without Hong Wending's help, the two of us might be able to suppress this demon, but it definitely wouldn't be easy. An expert at the 23 Dao realm past sight realm is already so difficult to deal with, much less someone like Jing Xiao. A thought flashed across Gu Qinsha's mind. Fa Wuxian is actually able to fight with Jing Xiao at the 22 Dao realm transformation. Although he lost, he didn't die. He only had 10% of his strength left, and he still fought with me for so long. He nearly schemed against me. Now that he obtained the ancient death relic and refined it, his cultivation will improve. I have to be careful in the future. However, I have shattered all my bloodline and turned it into common people's true blood. I will feed these demon emperors and demon emperors to the touch of the ghost god tree, and it will turn into the heaven monster tree. The demon area was great. This time, Gu Chansha had captured Skeleton Ash, who was at the 22nd transformation state of lawful phenomenon of heaven and earth. Then, Skeleton Dust, Skeleton Soul, Skeleton Lie, Skeleton Thorn, and Skeleton Bow were all full of essence chi and powerful Jindan. Along with the Skull Hun demon emperor, they should be able to evolve the touch of the ghost god. As Hong Wending, Gu Chunsha, and Lu Baiwe activated their power, the Skull Hun Demon Emperor finally let out a deafening roar, and his body turned into a crystal-clear relic. It was actually a sky demon relic. Demons with powerful magic power could transform into heavenly demon relics, which contained all of their magic power and the most quintessential profoundness. Gu Chunsha grabbed the sky demon relic and felt the strongest demonic intent within. He knew that the Skull Hun Demon Emperor wasn't dead and could explode at any moment. Turning into a sky demon relic was just a way for him to protect himself. Luckily, Gu Chunsha and Lu Baiwe definitely wouldn't give the Skull Hun Demon Emperor any chance. After he grabbed the heavenly demon relic, he nodded slightly at Hong Wending. "Mr. Wending, thank you very much for this. It seems that you have shown sufficient sincerity towards our Calming Immortal Department. Our Calming Immortal Department will help you investigate your grievances." "Thank you." Hong Wending cupped his hands. "I will wait for your good news." "Mr. Wending, please follow us to the sacrificial altar." Lu Baiwe wasn't in the mood to talk to Hong Wending about anything else. After calling out to Hong Wending, he quickly flew to the altar with Gu Chunsha. Lu Yu and the others were still guarding the sacrificial altar. Occasionally, they would fly out and kill some demons that were spying on them. As soon as Gu Chunsha and Lu Baiwe landed, the five of them bowed again. Hong Wending watched them from outside the sacrificial altar with a smile. Gu Chunsha placed the Maha Black Sun that he cultivated, the Skeleton Dust, Skeleton Soul, Skeleton Li, Skeleton Thorn, Skeleton Explosion, and Skeleton Ash, as well as the Sky Demon Relic formed by the Skull Hun Demon Emperor on the sacrificial altar. Then, he directly communicated with the Life's Wish Sphere. A beam of golden light swept down and swept all of them away. Seeing this power, Hong Wending's expression changed. He could feel that the supreme divine ability of this treasure was not inferior to the dynasty and country painting of the mystical school. This was a great existence that could suppress the destiny of a sect. In the Life's Wish Sphere, Zhuge Yu was holding down the fort. The vermilion bird and black tortoise assisted him, adjusting the vital energy and condensing various great formations, causing the inner world to become even purer. Governing this kind of world was like governing a country. One had to constantly adjust the frequency of the various energies and vital energy within the entire world to evolve it perfectly. It was like a human's breathing. If a grotto heaven wasn't adjusted for a long time, it would deteriorate. The vital energy within it would become chaotic, and eventually, it would be torn apart by the powerful space-time power. It was like a house that wasn't lived in for a long time. It would quickly collapse. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Those demon emperors and demon emperors were all swept in under the touch of Ghost God Tree. "Good fellow." A look of joy appeared on Zhuge Yu's face. Such a huge amount of vital energy can allow the touch of Ghost God to evolve. Yes, once the heavenly demon tree is formed, the adjustment of the inner world of the Life's Wish Sphere will simply be earth-shattering. From now on, it will be easier for us, and the inner world of this sphere is even more sturdy. I'm afraid even sages won't be able to penetrate it. The vermilion bird and black tortoise nodded repeatedly. They chuckled, and the black tortoise repeatedly rolled on the ground to express its excitement. Meanwhile, Zhuge Yu's hands shot out light. Immediately, the roots of the touch of Ghost God Tree burrowed out of the ground, wrapped around the 6 demon emperors, 1 demon emperor, and Gu Chincha's black Mahakasayapa, and pulled them underground. Then, the wriggling of the Life's Wish Sphere accelerated. This sphere wanted to help the touch of Ghost God digest these things. Chapter 388. As the common people's wish ball wriggled, the demon emperors within screamed out in pain. But Zhuge Yu didn't move at all. If any of the demon emperors went to the mortal world, they would be able to destroy cities and kill millions of people. The weakest one, the skeleton demon emperor, was at Golden Core Realm, so it wasn't a problem for them to cause chaos in the world. If they charged out, even if they could suppress them, many people would die. It would be a devastating blow to a prefecture, a province, or even a state. The current God Prefecture imperial court system was actually a little weak and lacked the ability to fight against such high-end combat strength. Think about it. For example, Jing Prefecture Governor Han Wuqin was at Dao Realm 4 or 5 transformations. With Gu Qinsh's help, he was only able to reach Dao Realm 6 transformations. Even if there were 100 of them, they would be wiped out by an 18 transformation Great Dao Golden Core with a flick of a finger. Of course, even in the demon region, these demon emperors and demon emperors were considered top-notch combat strength. Usually, they wouldn't come out easily. Zhuge calculated that as long as they survived the current crisis, in another 100 years, or even a few hundred years, the officials of the eternal dynasty of the Divine Prefecture would definitely all be at the level of Golden Core of the Great Path of 18 color changes or 20 color changes of impermanence. But the biggest danger was that these demons wanted to charge out of the bottomless sea of sin and cause chaos in the world. To Zhuge, the Celestial Path, Barbarian Race, Monster Race, and even the Great Wei Dynasty weren't much of a threat. The Celestial Path wouldn't openly kill civilians. The Barbarian Race's combat strength couldn't be compared to the Great Yong Army. The Monster Race hid deep in the mountains and forests, so their numbers were greatly reduced. As for the Great Wei Dynasty, that was a human civilization. Even if they came, they wouldn't start a massacre. They would just conquer, manage, and integrate. Zhuge wanted to merge the Great Wei Dynasty into the Yonko, and in the end, they wouldn't be separated. They would form a giant imperial court. Peace and mutual development would be the foundation, causing the luck of humans to increase. Only the demons of the demon region would kill and eat humans once they appeared. In ancient times, there were even demons who kept humans as livestock. These demons must die. Under Zhuge Ye's magic power, even the skull-black demon emperor let out a blood-curdling scream. The heavenly demon relic that he transformed into was instantly shattered. They were transformed into nutrients and injected into the touch of the demon and god tree. His cultivation was already at Dao Realm 21 transformation, body transforming into 5 elements. Very soon, he was about to break through to phenomenon of heaven and earth. But with his talent, realm didn't mean much to him. Even Jing Xiu was completely defeated by him. Fa Wuxian wanted to hide when he heard that he was born. After a full 7 days and 7 nights, the ghost god's touch tree seemed to have absorbed all 6 demon emperors and demon emperor Skull Black. It even absorbed some of their demonic treasures. Gu Qinsha and Liu Baiwei didn't need those demonic treasures at all. They were thrown into the ball together for the tree to absorb and purify. Kacha, the touch of ghost and god tree, which covered a radius of several hundred kilometers, was absorbing the vital energy from the sphere in a frenzy, as if it was trying to steal away all the vitality. Originally, the common people's wish sphere had accumulated a large amount of energy, spiritual energy, celestial energy, and also star power. But at that moment, it was all taken away. The entire desolate world inside actually became silent. The soil, which seemed to be filled with the fragrance of the stars, actually turned into yellow sand. The mountains, rivers, and land, all the plants died. Even the black tortoise and vermilion bird baby's life force was nearly sucked away. Zhuge sighed. The heaven demon tree is really overbearing. The ancient demon Tao follows the law of the jungle. The moment the heaven demon tree was born, it sucked away the life force. If not for the common people's wish sphere crazily absorbing and accumulating energy, it wouldn't have been enough. If the birth of this tree failed, then all our hard work would have been for nothing. The moment the heaven demon tree was born, it displayed the ancient demon Tao's plunder Tao. It sucked away the life force of an area, turning it into a land of death. Immortal come. Zhuge saw the touch of ghost and god tree finish absorbing the accumulated energy from the common people's wish sphere. It began to shrink, covering a radius of several hundred kilometers. After a few hours, it actually shrank to only a few dozen kilometers. It had shrunk by 10 times. He immediately used his own strength to forcefully open the immortal world. Together with the common people's wish sphere, he absorbed the celestial energy without holding back and poured it into the tree. But the tree continued to shrink. After another 3 days and 3 nights, the tree only covered a radius of a few kilometers. Over the past few days, Gu Chansha, Lu Baiwe, and Hong Wending, who had just joined them, had been killing massacring demons in a frenzy. Then, they had inserted their massacring demons into the life's wish sphere. This barely managed to keep up with the shrinking speed of the tree. Days passed, and a full 3 months had passed. Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe had also slaughtered in the demon realm for 3 months. It was now the 22nd year of the Heavenly Talisman. Countless demons had been killed, but some of the stronger demons had hidden themselves in the dark Iron Fortress. Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe could only kill the demons that came along the way. It was just a small fight. They killed many ordinary demons, but not a single one had cultivated to the Great Tao Golden Core level. But this also weakened the reinforcements of the demons at the seal. Rumble. On this day, the tree inside the common people's wish sphere had shrunk to a small sapling. There had been many treasures on it, and even the demons and monsters had disappeared. Even the immortal slaying god, slaying flying knife gourd had disappeared. They had all been converted into the most basic essence chi to help the heaven demon tree's final transformation. This small sapling was only the length of a finger. It appeared to be black and white, a chaotic color. Freeze! Seeing this change, Zhuge finally smiled. He shot out a mouthful of essence chi, and in an instant, the small sapling trembled. It seemed to be communicating with some mysterious dimension. Remnant wills from the depths of space-time descended and poured into the small sapling. These were the wills of many ancient demon sages who had fused with the Tao and sensed that the heaven demon tree was about to be born. But as the common people's wish sphere trembled, and the essence fused with the small sapling. At this moment, the small sapling had completely absorbed the Khanate spiritual treasure, the central Wutu Great Virtue flag, and fused it into itself. In addition, there were many remnant wills and experiences of the ancient demon race sages in the space-time. All of a sudden, the little sapling seemed to have absorbed an inexplicable energy that did not belong to any space-time. This energy had no color at all. It was chaotic, fusion elemental energy. Seeing this, Zhuge finally calmed down. The heaven demon tree is born, although it is a small sapling. As long as it can absorb fusion elemental energy, it will definitely grow. Fusion elemental energy did not belong to any dimension. It was very mysterious. It was rumored that only those who cultivated to the God realm could sense and absorb it. Fusion elemental energy was very strange. It was the origin and synthesis of everything. From it, one could extract the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. One could also extract immortal chi, spirit chi, devil chi, and many other complicated things. It was rumored that many worlds were born because of the chaos Big Bang and the synthesis of the chaos elemental energy. Even the land of infinity was born from the chaos Big Bang. The biggest sign of the heaven demon tree's birth was that it did not absorb spirit chi, immortal chi, or the power of the stars. Instead, it absorbed fusion elemental energy as nutrients and then extracted all kinds of treasures from it. Fusion elemental energy could not be directly absorbed by humans. This was because it was a hodgepodge. It had to be refined before anything useful could be obtained. Moreover, without reaching the God realm, one could not sense the chaos Big Bang and could not absorb it. Now that the heaven demon tree was born and could absorb fusion elemental energy, it meant that this tree actually had the characteristics of a god. Of course, this tree was still extremely weak and had no power. It was like a newborn baby. Even someone with the 9 transformations Tao Realm Glass Jade Body could take it away. But as long as this tree continued to absorb fusion elemental energy, it would be refined and grow. its power and mysteriousness would only increase. I have finally cultivated the Heaven Demon Tree. If not for the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and Black Tortoise bloodline, as well as the Khanate spiritual treasure and the Central Wutu Great Virtue flag, the touch of demon and God could not have evolved into the Heaven Demon Tree. Of course, the Heaven Demon book was also included. Zhuge was delighted. At this moment, the Heaven Demon Tree sapling had completely merged with the Life's Wish sphere. With the Heaven Demon Tree sapling suppressing it, the world within the sphere would become more and more stable in the future. But now, all the power and vitality in the sphere of common people's wish had been extracted. The world was filled with yellow sand, devoid of any vitality. At a glance, it was lifeless, with only the finger-sized Heavenly Demon Tree sapling growing in the center. It looked like it would wither at any moment. The Heaven Demon Tree was formed, but it didn't have much power now. The original touch of demon and God had been refined countless times and had the power to kill experts above the 20 transformations. But the moment it transformed into the Heaven Demon Tree sapling, all its life force and abilities were condensed and turned into energy for the transformation. Naturally, it lost its original power. Of course, as long as the sapling absorbed enough fusion elemental energy over time, it would have unfathomable godly power. At this moment, Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwe, who were in the demon region altar, sensed all of this, especially Gu Chansha. He was the creator of the Heaven Demon Tree, so it wasn't strange that this tree was one of his clones. Even if his main body died, he could form a new one on the tree. Once the Heaven Demon Tree was formed, it would possess unimaginable power. The legendary Hongmeng Tree had absorbed fusion elemental energy to create worlds and innumerable primordial spiritual treasures. Of course, the Heaven Demon Tree was far from the Hongmeng Tree and couldn't create primordial spiritual treasures, but it could absorb fusion elemental energy to create other powerful treasures. The moment the Heavenly Demon Tree sapling transformed, Gu Chansha had received many fragmented memories of the ancient demon race sages from the depths of space and time. These fragmented memories were vast, and as they were washed away by the tides, they sank into a sea of consciousness. Chapter 389. In the depths of time and space, there were many memory fragments of powerful experts. If certain conditions were met, or if it was by chance, one could obtain them. For example, a person traveled to famous mountains and rivers and suddenly received guidance from a deity. A general was taught martial arts by a deity in a night dream. After waking up and cultivating, he fought on the battlefield and was almost invincible. This kind of example was innumerable since ancient times, and it never stopped throughout history. When Gu Chansha cultivated the Heavenly Demon Tree, he triggered some memory fragments left by the ancient sages of the Demon Clan in time and space. Because the Heavenly Demon Tree was a smaller existence created by many sages of the Demon Clan after they comprehended the Hongmeng Tree, they were naturally very pleased with the birth of such a thing. Although these sages of the Demon Clan had become one with the Tao, which meant that they were dead, the memory fragments they left behind had the ability to automatically sense. This was the greatest benefit of Gu Chencha's cultivation of the Heavenly Demon Tree. Countless memory fragments rushed in, and Gu Chensha passed these memory fragments to Lu Baiwe and Zhuge with divine thoughts. After they obtained this knowledge, they would definitely be able to obtain a huge amount of resources. After 3 days and 3 nights, the memory fragments were all received. Gu Chensha looked at Hong Wending and said, "Brother Wending, thank you for these months. From now on, you're a member of the Calming Deities Department. As for the specific position, I still have to discuss it with Jean Suebois, and we will hold an internal meeting to decide. I can wait. As long as I can clear my name and take revenge, it has been hundreds of years. Why would I care about a little more time?" Hong Wending expressed his understanding. "Then, please continue to guard this altar, kill the demons, and sacrifice our people's wish sphere." Lu Baiwe said, "This altar is very important. It is a contact point between us and the demon area. If it is destroyed, many things cannot be done." "I know." Hong Winding did not object. Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwe looked at each other and nodded. After giving some instructions to Lu Yu and the other 4 people, they left the altar and went to the place where the seal was broken. They went to the bottomless sea of sin and then to the border. From there, they entered the sphere of the common people's wish. Originally, they could have teleported directly from the altar, but at this moment, the energy in a life's wish sphere had been completely absorbed by the heavenly demon tree, and it no longer had the ability to break through space and teleport. In other words, the sphere was actually an empty shell. It would take a long time for it to gather its power again. Fortunately, once the heavenly demon tree formed, the inside of the sphere would be suppressed, and the speed at which it accumulated energy would be much faster than before. Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwe entered the common people's wish sphere. There was nothing but yellow sand, no vitality, and no treasures. Even the 360 common people's generals were swallowed into the heavenly demon tree. This heavenly demon tree seemed to have the characteristics of the ancient Taotai, swallowing everything it saw. Although we have cultivated the heavenly demon tree, the sapling of the heavenly demon tree can only transform after swallowing all the upgrades and energy. Now we are at our weakest. The life's wish sphere can no longer tear through the void, Lu Baiwe said with a smile. I don't know when this sphere can recover and upgrade. They surrounded the heavenly demon tree, sapling that was only the length of a finger and looked like a bean sprout. The difference between the heavenly demon tree, sapling, and the one that covered a radius of hundreds of miles and absorbed the power of the sun, moon, stars, and the spiritual realm was too great. Gu Qinsha sat down and carefully comprehended. He found that traces of fusion elemental energy were absorbed by the heavenly demon tree sapling. At the same time, the inside of the sapling was decomposed and refined into various substances, energy, and vitality. We can't absorb or refine this fusion elemental energy. We have to reach the creation realm to be able to decompose fusion elemental energy and condense it into Dharma treasures, Zhuge said. But the heavenly demon tree already has this ability. Gu Qinsha, Zhuge, and Lu Baiwe couldn't absorb fusion elemental energy. Of course, they couldn't absorb it either. Even if the heavenly demon tree absorbed it, it would be harmful for them to absorb it into their bodies. A mass of chaos was absorbed into their bodies and couldn't be digested or refined. It was like how a hungry person couldn't eat soil directly. They had to plant rice and wheat, allowing these plants to absorb nutrients from the earth and refine the grains, which were then cooked and eaten. As time passed, the heavenly demon tree, sapling, absorbed enough fusion elemental energy and seemed to grow a little. The yellow sand on the ground also began to be infused with some kind of vitality, turning into a kind of purple immortal mud. However, this purple immortal mud was only the size of a palm and expanded very slowly. The immortal mud gradually solidified into immortal stones and crystals. If I just absorb it like this, how long will it take for the heavenly demon tree to grow up? When will this sphere recover its vitality? Gu Qinsha sighed as he studied. At this speed, it will take about 3,000 to 5,000 years. Zhuge said, and this is the fastest speed. The heavenly demon tree is too mysterious and powerful. It needs such a long time to truly mature. You should know that when the heavenly demon tree matures, it will condense the 28 Fey gods of the constellations. The 28 Fey gods of the constellations are indeed tyrannical. Gu Qinsha nodded. The moment the heavenly demon tree leveled up, it had swallowed the remnants of Buzhou Palace and Dragon Gate. In fact, it had refined some of the dregs of the common people's wish sphere, making it even purer. Now, the heavenly demon tree was a Dharma treasure manufacturing factory. It was much more powerful than the original Buzhou Palace. After all, Buzhou Palace was an acquired numinous treasure, refined by Son of Heaven Zhou. The heavenly demon tree had absorbed the central Wu Earth Great Virtue flag and possessed the characteristics of a connate numinous treasure. When we were comprehending the heavenly demon tree, many of the ancient demon sages left behind memory fragments. Communicating with each other will speed things up, Lu Baiwa said. At this time, the fourth and Jean Suebwa had also arrived inside the sphere. They had all felt the news of the heavenly demon tree leveling up and rushed over. Gu Chunsha naturally imparted the memory fragments to them. Then, he cultivated with the vermilion bird and the black tortoise, gathering everyone's strength to comprehend these things. It was much easier than cultivating alone. Thus, everyone began to comprehend in the depths of the common people's wish sphere. Another 3 months passed. Gu Chunsha had completely digested these memory fragments. The common people heaven mending technique and the common people heaven reforming technique were like two giant wheels in his body. They were like millstones that crushed each other, making the golden core and flesh in his body even purer. He still did not attempt to break through to the Dharma power realm. Instead, he comprehended the laws of Dharma and slowly comprehended the Dharma King ritual that he had gone through. He hoped that when he leveled up, the Dharma power in his body would be similar to the King of Dharma power. Only then would he be able to fight against natural-born sages. Now, his physical body and golden core had almost reached a limit. Moreover, he seemed to have deduced the common people heaven-mending technique to a new realm. The reason why he did not level up his Dharma power was because the moment he reached the Dharma power realm, he needed to absorb large amounts of energy to transform. Now, the common people's wish sphere did not have enough essence chi. It could not even tear through the void. The heavenly demon tree's growth was also extremely slow. Although it was mysterious to absorb chaotic essence chi, it also needed time to accumulate. Every day, the common people's wish absorbed large amounts of immortal chi, spirit chi, the power of the stars, and all sorts of other energies, helping the heavenly demon tree to condense. But the heavenly demon tree's growth was still slow. In 3 months, it went from a bean sprout the length of a finger to a stalk of wheat. It looked pitifully weak. The soil around the heavenly demon tree was a mixture of purple immortal mud and immortal crystals. It was still surrounded by rolling yellow sand, devoid of life. Zhuge and the others wanted to plant trees in the yellow sand and inject spirit chi, but it was of no use. As long as anything with life fell into the yellow sand, it would be snatched away by the heavenly demon tree in an instant. With the heavenly demon tree in the common people's wish sphere, it seemed like it could not contain any life. It was blatantly tyrannical and plundering. If not for the fact that the heavenly demon tree itself was refined by Gu Chunsha, it would have taken away everyone's essence chi. The heavenly demon tree now is the true Tao of the heavenly demon. Gu Chunsha secretly rotated his body. His physical body was actually twisting and transforming. It wasn't as simple as just becoming bigger or smaller. The moment the heavenly demon tree advanced, he comprehended more of the mysteries of the physical body. He reforged his meridians and acupoints, giving him some of the characteristics and foundation of the Hongmeng tree. Although his current strength hadn't reached the 20th Tao realm transformation, his strength had already reached an unfathomable level. Even if he faced an expert like the Skull Black Demon Emperor alone, he might still be able to put up a fight. He even started to condense a second golden core. The previous Lord of 7 Stars, Jiang Gongwang, had left behind secret magics for a second gold core, as well as a third, fourth, and even more gold cores. After condensing these golden cores, they would reside in their acupoints and store energy. That way, he would have enough energy to advance his dermic power realm. Jiang Gongwang had developed many small techniques for each of the 36 Tao realm transformations. After learning these small techniques, he would be able to advance even more perfectly. Apart from that, he could even break through the restrictions of talent and break through 1 or 2 realms. For example, those with top-grade talent could at most cultivate to the 8th Tao realm transformation. But with some of Jiang Gongwang's small techniques, those with top-grade talent could even cultivate to the 13th Dao realm transformation. Back then, the 7th Prince, Gafasa, also had top-grade talent, but after using some treasures from the legalism school, he actually broke through to the 9th Dao realm transformation. He wasn't able to ignite himself and cultivated the glass jade body. Jiang Gongwang's small techniques were much better than those of the legalism school. For example, when he was at the 17th Dao realm transformation, after gathering core energy, he didn't condense it into a golden core. Instead, it spread throughout his body. Chapter 390. Heaven and Earth Condensing Core. Gu Chensha absorbed spirit chi and immortal chi. After 7 days and 7 nights, a small golden core suddenly condensed in a Yuzhen acupoint at the back of his head. This golden core was not as big as his natal golden core, only the size of soybean. This was one of the techniques. His physical body was very strong, so condensing many golden cores in his acupoints was not a big deal. It would not cause damage to his physical body. Originally, it was impossible for him to absorb immortal chi when he did not have dermic powers. However, he had more or less comprehended some great massacre divine arts. And in addition to the 100 Worlds Festival, it was very easy for him to absorb immortal chi. Condensing a golden core was not easy. If he did not have so many fortuitous encounters and could not absorb immortal chi, it would probably take more than 7 months to condense a second golden core. Next, we need to raise the heavenly demon tree. The common people's wish sphere will not be able to create some Dharma treasures, and it will not be able to break the void to help us fight. After condensing the second golden core, Gu Chansha did not continue cultivating. Our combat power has decreased. It's fine. As long as we kill more demons for the heavenly demon tree, it will not only accelerate its growth, but it also has many mysteries. However, this is secondary. It is best for us to obtain the Khanate 5 elements spirit flags, the Southern Burning Fire flag, the Western Gung Killing flag, the Northern Ninth Dark flag, and the Eastern Second Wood Life spirit flag. After the heavenly demon tree devours these 4 spirit flags, it will save 1,000 years of condensing. Zhuge Yu is not in a hurry. Apart from that, as long as it is a Dharma treasure or material with spirituality, the tree can also accelerate its growth after devouring it. Where can we find the 4 Khanate 5 elements spirit flags? Gu Qinsha asked. I have an idea, Zhuge said. Didn't you accept an expert called Hong Wending? An exiled disciple of the state dynasty Profound Gate? Behind this person, there is actually an expert. That expert has a primordial spiritual treasure, a type of directionless flag. If I'm not wrong, it should be the Southern Third Flame Prairie Burning flag. Only this flag can gain a foothold in the infernal domain and refine the demonic nature. Right now, the common people's wish sphere lacks vitality. All of it has been taken away by the heavenly demon tree sapling. If we can obtain the Azure Dragon Blood, won't we be able to speed up the heavenly demon tree's evolution? Jean Suebwis said. Hong Wending is a small matter. The most important thing right now is for the heavenly demon tree to grow. Right now, there's only a saint-level Azure Dragon in the depths of the Black Gate of Heaven and Earth, but it did leave behind a lot of blood. Zhuge had a profound look in his eyes. I've been eyeing this Azure Dragon for a long time. Since it gave birth to the Azure Dragon Egg, we can use it. The best way to hatch the Azure Dragon Egg was the Sun Moon Dragon Blood. There were some green dragon eggs in the Black Heaven Earth Gate. She must have found a way to get in touch with Wu Dankong and get the Sun Moon Dragon Blood from Wu Dankong to hatch it. This gave us an opportunity. I think Wu Dankong also hopes to get an Azure Dragon Egg. This way, I can work with her again and get something from the Black Heaven Earth Gate. Apart from that, I can also pull her and the Black Heaven Earth Gate to the opposite side. Mr. Zhuge made a series of plans, but I wasn't able to complete them. Gu Chensha sighed. I didn't manage to capture Jing Xiu, F.A. Wuxian, and I didn't manage to take back the Myrtle Imperial Star's profundity. Also, I didn't have time to negotiate with the Xing Qiong clan. Zhuge made many plans, all of them interlocking. These plans were handed over to Gu Qinsha, but Gu Qinsha was met with many obstacles. If the plan goes smoothly, then His Majesty won't need to go into seclusion. There are many manipulators behind the scenes, and there are many powers behind Jingxiu. There are even 3 celestial venerables involved, and Fa Wuxian is an innate saint with great fortune. Zhuge Ye waved his hand. Your Highness doesn't need to blame yourself. You've done very well to get to this point. Your Highness has gained a lot. You've stimulated the Emperor's bloodline, crushed the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, North Star, and God of Seasons bloodlines, and merged them into your own bloodline. This is your greatest gain. Your future achievements are limitless. Now that your Highness's talent has improved, you're almost half an innate saint. In time, if you can merge with the Emperor's bloodline and refine the profoundness within, it won't be a problem for you to surpass me. Mr. Zhuge, you must be joking. Gu Qinsha quickly waved his hand. Your Highness, do you think I'm complimenting you? Then you're gravely mistaken. Zhuge Ye said solemnly. The Emperor's bloodline is the most unique bloodline in the world. It's far superior to the Sun and Moon Dragon bloodlines. If it can be stimulated and merged, surpassing me is nothing. I don't know how to stimulate it either. This thing came out of nowhere. Gu Qinsha thought hard about the flash of inspiration during the battle with Fa Wuxian, but he still couldn't figure it out. Let's not think about it for now. Zhuge Ye said, summon that Hong winding over. Mr. Suable will get in touch with him. If this person is used well, we can dig out the existence behind him, and we might even have a chance to cause trouble for the mystical school of the state. The mystical school of the state seems to have never made a clear stand since the establishment of the Tranquil Immortal Department, Liu Baiwei asked. It's not like the Crimson Firmament mystical school who sent people to assassinate us so blatantly. The mystical school of the state plays dirty tricks. What they often do is to assist the emperor among the people to overthrow the dynasty, and from there, obtain the emperor's qi during the change of dynasty. Jean Suibo reported, the founders of their school are the 2 ancient emperors, Shi and Ji. After they abdicated, they were well versed in the secrets of the emperors. The painting of country and country that they refined can not only suppress the destiny of a school, but also absorb the emperor's qi. When Emperor Wu founded the dynasty, it was replaced by a new dynasty, the Liang dynasty, which was supported by the mystical school of the state. The founding emperor of the Liang dynasty directly conferred the mystical school of the state as the imperial preceptor, and then worshipped the 2 ancient emperors of the state in Ji. In fact, it was the blessing of the country's destiny and the emperor's qi into it, and obtained sufficient benefits. I've heard of this story as well, Gu Qinsha asked, so now that you're saying it, the mystical school of the state is doing the same thing. According to my investigations, the mystical school of the state has already secretly chosen many agents among the people, and the Jing family is one of them. Of course, if Jing Xiu fails and is suppressed by us, the mystical school of the state will give up on him and choose another agent. Jean Subwa said, His Highness and the Countess asked me to reorganize the immortal path, and I've already made some progress. Right now, there are a total of 1,123 sects that have submitted to us and paid taxes to us. After a long period of testing, there are only 130 sects that are truly loyal to the Tranquil Immortal Department and want to do something big. The rest are all fence-sitters. That's understandable, Liu Baiwei said. As long as they pay taxes, they're good officials, and we can give them benefits. Next, I'll go to the seabed near Precious Jade Nation and negotiate with that Xing Qiong's head. Gu Qinsha knew that he still had something important to do. If we can obtain its bloodline, Mr. Zhuge's chances of obtaining the world-burying coffin will be much higher. Indeed, even if I can't obtain the world-burying coffin, I can still use its power. Moreover, Xing Qiong's bloodline contains great mysteries and endless ancient secrets. If we can obtain it, we'll have a lot of resources. This bloodline can also catalyze the growth of the heavenly demon tree. It's even more wondrous than the Azure Dragon bloodline, Zhuge Ye said. I'll be careful about this. Gu Qinsha looked at the heavenly demon tree sapling again. It was still the size of wheat and couldn't make any transcendent artifacts. It was still in its growth period, which lowered the overall strength of the Tranquil Immortal Department. In the past, the Tranquil Immortal Department's common people's wish sphere produced many medicinal pills, transcendent artifacts, and even machines and puppets. They were continuously transported to various places, supporting a huge commercial network. Now, however, they were out of stock. The remnants of the Buzhou Palace and the Dragon's Gate had been devoured by the heavenly demon tree, and the sapling couldn't produce anything at all. Gu Qinsha calculated that it would probably take decades before the heavenly demon tree could produce anything to support the massive commercial operations of the Tranquil Immortal Department. In other words, not only could the heavenly demon tree not provide offensive power, but it also couldn't produce treasures. Instead, it was a burden on the common people's wish sphere. Moreover, it still needed to be fed by Gu Qinsha and the others. It was as if they had invited a lazy ancestor to come back and serve him. Of course, once the heavenly demon tree matured, its growth would be explosive. The Tranquil Immortal Department would then truly be on par with the 72 mystical gates of the Immortal Tao. After all, the heavenly demon tree was now a young god. It could absorb primordial chaos energy, break it down, refine it, and transform it. It was stronger than most gods, and its potential wasn't something that gods could compare to. It was a strange object with the characteristics of the primordial tree. Countless ancient demon sages had tried to cultivate one, but they all failed. Of course, there were some who succeeded, but they all met with all kinds of calamities and were destroyed. In short, the power of the heavenly demon tree was equivalent to a heaven-defying object. When this object was born, there were many calamities. Of course, the Tranquil Immortal Department wasn't afraid of them. The heavenly demon tree was refined by some ancient demon sages, and there were successful examples. We can also find the remains of the heavenly demon tree that met with calamity and fused them into the sapling, which will speed up its growth. The growth of the heavenly demon tree is simply too slow. Our Tranquil Immortal Department can't wait that long. If it can't produce any treasures in 2 or 3 years, all the trade routes will be occupied by the Scenic Martial Merchant Association, the National Games, and the Honyun Games. Liu Baiwei had also digested the memory fragments of the ancient demon sages. The Scenic Martial Merchant Association has already been changed to the Clearsky Merchant Association. The Jing family rebelled and was uprooted by our Tranquil Immortal Department. This has caused quite a stir among the aristocratic families. Jin Suibo revealed the latest news. This Wu Dangkong is quite bold. He even took Jing Qiu's share. Isn't he afraid of Jing Qiu's revenge? Gu Qinsha had been busy with cultivation recently, so he hadn't paid attention to these matters. He still has some connections with Jing Qiu, the fourth said. Changing his name is just a way to avoid conflict. Jing Qiu is a difficult person to deal with. Gu Qinsha thought about it. Even Zhuge, you hadn't been able to take him down. It was clear that this person had many tricks up his sleeves. Chapter 391. Gu Qinsha was extremely quick, and in just a short while, he arrived above the ocean. He stood high up in the sky and looked down at the entire Baoyu country. Dao Realm Transformation 15, Heaven Eye Hanging Sky, allowed one to use one soul to reach the sky and observe everything within 1,000 miles. Even small animals in the soil couldn't escape the detection of one's soul, much less the treasures deep underground. When a normal cultivator's soul power reached Heaven Eye Hanging Sky, their soul power would only be able to do around 6,000 things at once. Even if they had a fortuitous encounter and broke through the restrictions, they would only be able to do 10,000 things at once. Now, Gu Qinsha was at Dao Realm Transformation 19, Size Manipulation. His soul power was able to do 1,000,000 things at once. With such a realm, there was nothing stopping him from looking at the mountains and rivers. Casually looking around, the situation of the entire continent on the sea of precious Jade Nation appeared in his sea of consciousness. The number of cities, the number of commoners, the number of households, what those people were doing, and how everyone was feeling, whether they were happy, angry, sad, or happy. Guchan Sha could sense everything. Normal emotions could be seen with the energy observation technique. When people were happy, they would feel refreshed. When one looked at their soul, they would see that it was red like flames. When people were angry, they would feel violent. When one looked at their soul, they would see that it was black like they were possessed by a demon. When people were sad, they would feel dispirited. When one looked at their soul, they would see that it was gray like a withered autumn leaf. All of these could be sensed by cultivators. When a smart cultivator looked at a place, a state, or even a country, they could see the mood of the commoners and from there, reflect the fate of the country. All in all, the fate of the country was closely related to the mood of the commoners. Guchan Sha observed the overall situation of the precious Jade Nation and found that the people of the nation were all very happy. The entire continent appeared to be thriving, and it could be said that it was a flourishing era. Ever since the Yonko recruited the Baoyu Nation, the entire nation was under the control of the calming Immortal Department. The Cold Jade Do also held great power and carried out a series of reforms. They raised the price of jade, sealed off the surrounding seas, and forbade private mining of jade. At the same time, they cracked down on the tyrants who hoarded jade in the nation. All the mining rights were given to the government. After the raw jade was mined, it would be transported to the calming Immortal Department for processing and refining before being sold to the various aristocratic families. In addition, the Celestial Tranquility Department also built the Star Shark battleship, which was used to transport resources across the sea. It continuously transported jade stones to the central land of the Divine Prefecture and some daily necessities back. As a result, the lives of the people of Baoyu Nation became richer and more prosperous. Originally, Baoyu country was already extremely wealthy and populous. Now it was flourishing like fire with experts emerging in large numbers. They were all recruited by the Frosty Jade due to replenish the talents of the Celestial Tranquility Department. The precious Jade Nation had become the back garden of the Tranquil Immortal Department. This time, Zhuge had asked Gu Chansha to come here mainly to talk to the Xing Qiong clan's head. Another reason was to observe the current situation of the precious Jade Nation. This was to prevent any hidden forces from infiltrating the nation. The Frosty Jade Du was in control of the precious Jade continent, but her cultivation was too weak and she wasn't able to control the situation. The Frosty Jade Du was at the Dao Realm 13 transformation, Demon Swallowing Ghost Eater, the same as Long Yuyun. Actually, this cultivation was not bad. In the Celestial Path Xian sect, she was an elite seed and had a high status. But Baoyu country's strategic position was too important and there were too many experts spying on it. Even if they sent a Dao Realm 20 transformation, gathering and dispersing, it wouldn't be too much. The Celestial Tranquility Department still lacked experts. Lu Yu and the other four were fighting in the demon region and were at the Dao Realm 19 transformation, small manipulation. Soon, they would reach the 20 transformation, gathering and dispersing. Apart from that, Long Zifei and Lu Huayue had reached this realm too. At this moment, it was already the second half of the 22nd year, and it was about to reach the 23rd year. Time passed really quickly. Gu Chansha went into secluded meditation for a few months. Half a year passed, and it was now the 23rd year. It was now the 23rd year of the Heavenly Talisman. One more year would be the 24th year of the Heavenly Talisman. 10 years had passed since he received the Heaven's sacrificial decree. These 10 years seemed like a blink of an eye, but the people in the world had changed. Gu Chansha thought back to his experiences in the past 9 years and felt like it was all a dream. He seemed to have comprehended some sort of time flow mysteries. It wasn't hard for him to condense his current cultivation into spiritual power. Moreover, his bloodline had shattered the goat, Chun Green Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise bloodlines. He had the Xiantian 5-element Saint Beast energy, so he didn't face any obstacles in cultivating the 5-element transformation. Pretty much the moment he formed spiritual power, he could absorb the power of the 5 elements and convert them to reach the peak. Then, the 22nd transformation, phenomenon of heaven and earth, wasn't difficult at all for him. Only the 23rd transformation, past reflection, required one to comprehend the changes of time in the human world. But during these few days, Gu Chansha seemed to have obtained many secrets. There was a lot of knowledge in his sea of knowledge, and he had already digested all of it. The ancient lord of 7-star, Jiang Gongwang's memory fragments, as well as many ancient demon race sages' memory fragments, and the Gaotian's memory fragments had all been digested and turned into resources. In addition, he had killed the Skull Black Devil Emperor and obtained even more of the Maha Suppression Scripture. He had roughly collected 10% of the Maha Suppression Scripture, and his understanding of the demon path had deepened. Previously, the Skull Ash Devil Monarch said that he knew at least 30% of the contents of the Maha Suppression Scripture. Only now did Gu Qinsha know that the Skull Ash Devil Monarch was bragging. The Skull Ash Devil Monarch's memories were 10 times more than his, but it was still only 10%. From this, one could see how vast the contents of the Maha Suppression Scripture were. Gu Qinsha pondered over various martial arts while activating his heavenly eye to observe the various states of the Jadeite continent, the circulation of the vicissitudes of life, and the secrets of light. Pretty much all the strong auras in the continent couldn't escape his eyes. On the other hand, he could clearly sense people who had reached the Tao realm in his sea of consciousness. In fact, he could even tell exactly what their cultivation bases were. With his current observation skills, even the Tao realm 22 transformations phenomenon of heaven and earth couldn't hide from him. Unless it was the 23rd transformation, past reflection, where the frequency of the magic power was one with the flow of time, it would be like the dust of history. Oh, a golden core expert. Gu Chansha suddenly realized that there was a golden core aura in the depths of the precious Jade Nation's imperial palace. It was obviously not one of his people. Is that where Prince Yu Huang is? Gu Chansha frowned. Does he have other intentions? The number of golden core experts in the Tranquil Immortal Department was also limited. Other than the 3 department heads, Zhu Guiya, Lu Yu, and the other 4, Long Zhaifei, Lu Huayue, and Yi Zheng, there were no true core golden core experts. None of them were stationed in the precious Jade Nation. There were many spies in the precious Jade Nation. As long as a strong cultivator appeared, they would immediately report to the Calm Deity Department. It was strange that Gu Chansha was hiding in the prince's mansion of the precious Jade Nation. Prince Yu Huang of the precious Jade Nation used to be the crown prince, but after he was recruited, he was demoted to a prince. He was the leader of the henchmen in the small imperial court of the precious Jade Nation. He was supported by the Tai Fantasy sect. However, the young master of the Tai Fantasy sect, Tai Mang Di, lost the bet with Gu Chansha, and the precious Jade Nation became a province of the Yonko. As a result, Yu Huang had to retire and become a wealthy idler. The power of the entire precious Jade Nation fell into the hands of the Jade Frost Dew. Additionally, the Jade Frost Dew assigned people to monitor his movements and daily life in case of disrupting the overall situation of the precious Jade Nation. Additionally, many ministers who resisted the recruitment had also retired and were monitored secretly. Of course, the Frosty Jade Dew did not settle accounts. The trial policy was to increase their wealth and feign their power. This was to give them wealth, but no power. This was considered an extremely generous and benevolent act in the political struggles of the past dynasties. What the hell is going on? Gu Chansha focused his attention and looked at the prince's mansion. Could it be that the prince's ambition is undying? He was using the sun and moon simultaneous brilliant skill. With the sun and the moon hanging in the sky, nothing could be hidden from them. Immediately, all the secrets of the prince's mansion, including the underground secret rooms, appeared in his mind's sea. As expected, hundreds of meters under the ground of the prince's mansion seemed to have been hollowed out, revealing a huge secret room which covered a few miles. The formation of the room seemed to have a magical function of concealment. However, these concealments could not be hidden from Guchen's eyes and ears. A few powerful auras were entrenched in the depths of the ground. There were 7 or 8 of them. Just now, one of the Golden Core experts had accidentally cultivated some martial arts and leaked a bit of his aura. As a result, it was seen by Guchen. So many experts. After seeing this, Guchen was still shocked because he found that in this secret room, the lowest level was a Golden Core, and there were a few who had cultivated magic power. There was also an aura that seemed to be even stronger than that of the Skeleton Demon Emperor. He could only faintly feel that aura, but he couldn't see who it was at all. This group of people entrenched in the prince's mansion was even bigger than the Skeleton Demon Emperor's group. Who were they? Immortal Dao? Great Wade Dynasty? Demon race? Barbarian race? Of course, it shouldn't be the demon race. The demon race would not cooperate with humans, and humans would not be stupid enough to cooperate with the demon race. Since ancient times, the evil experts who cooperated with the demon race would be devoured by the demon race. Guchen concealed his aura and hid his body. He turned into dust and entered the depths of the prince's mansion. The moment he came into contact with the formation, he used the sun and moon sky technique and entered the formation without causing the slightest disturbance. Sun-moon emptiness was the true emptiness. It could enter any formation. Combined with the realm of size manipulation, it could turn one's body into dust. It was a perfect combination. Chapter 392. He used the sun-moon void technique to sneak into the depths of the ground and found that there were a total of 8 cultivators in this underground chamber. One blade, you leaked your aura just now. Be careful not to be detected by the experts. One of the cultivators said to the cultivator who had leaked his aura, "Just now, I suddenly comprehended a certain realm. It seems that I have comprehended the realm of size manipulation. Unknowingly, some of my aura leaked out. However, there are no experts stationed in precious Jade Country for the time being. So, it is not a problem." The cultivator named One Blade did not seem to care. This cultivator was a young man who was as sharp as a sword. In the depths of his eyes, there seemed to be the mark of 10,000 swords. This was the supreme secret technique of the 9 Swords mystical gate, the 10,000 swords life and death art. Once mastered, one could create 10,000 swords with just a thought. Even the top disciple of the 9 Swords mystical gate hadn't mastered it. It's better to be careful. The Lord of 7 Stars of the Celestial Tranquility Department, Zhuge Ye, even defeated Jing Xiao. Jing Fanqing, Xiao Yin, Wang Ji, and Gu Hua of the Great Wade Dynasty teamed up to deal with Guchen. Wang Ji and Xiao Yin were killed on the spot. Jing Fanqing's magic power was completely crippled, and only Gu Hua managed to escape. At this moment, a ball of light sitting in the center spoke. It was a cultivator, but his life form had changed. He was a ball of pure light. Within the light, one could vaguely see a rock, an azure lion, a white elephant, a 9-headed snake, a giant whale, and a white crane. The moment he spoke, all the cultivators quieted down and listened to his commands. This person's cultivation is even higher than Demon Emperor Skeleton Black. Is he at the 24 transformations of Dao Realm, Future Glimpse? His magic power turned into a ball of light. It seems to be Heavenly Venerable Pu Tuo's secret technique called Pu Tuo Around Light. The rock, azure lion, white elephant, 9-headed snake, giant whale, and white crane respectively have 6 accomplishments: courage, mercy, fortune, demon subduing, virtue, and freedom. This technique is very mysterious. Guchen frowned. Could it be that this cultivator doesn't belong to any sect and is a disciple of one of the 3 heavenly venerables? Or is he a representative chosen by the 3 Empyreans? When Guchen saw this, he did not act rashly. If he were to make a move now, he might not necessarily be able to defeat this person. Most importantly, he could not use the energy within the sphere of the people's wish. He could tell that these people must be plotting something. Jian Chunkong, that idiot, was captured by Gu Chunsha along with Jing Fanqing. The Scarlet Firmament Profound sect suffered a great loss this time and suffered disastrous losses. Xiao Yin and Elder Wangji are both extraordinary figures. However, if they were all killed, it would be very difficult for the Crimson Firmament Profound sect to cultivate such people. Another cultivator said, "We've established the Everlasting Extermination Alliance in accordance with the will of the Celestial, with the sole purpose of wiping out the Yonko. Other members of the Alliance are hiding in other places, but our location is the most important. Jewel Jade Nation has only recently been granted amnesty, and the hearts of the people are unstable. Every member of the royal family is filled with resentment, and as long as we find the right time, we can return to the immortal Tao. The opportunity is when the demon disaster breaks out." The leading cultivator, who had transformed into a round Bodhidharma light, said, "As long as the seal of the bottomless sea of sin is broken, countless demons will rush out and immediately cause chaos across the divine land. The imperial court will be exhausted, and only then can we start this matter. The jade mines of the Jewel Jade Nation extend to the depths of the earth and are almost endless. Now that they have all been occupied by the Immortal Tranquility Department, the price of our jade stones has increased by several times." Another cultivator coldly harumphed, "I really don't know why the Tai Fantasy sect was willing to give up this fat piece of meat. That Tai Mang Di is really a good-for-nothing." Some of the old-timers in the Tai Fantasy sect have always believed that their founder, Heavenly Lord Tai, was killed by the three Heavenly Lords. Therefore, they actually hate the three Heavenly Lords. Superficially, they dare not oppose the three Heavenly Lords, but actually, they sent that brat Tai Mang Di to contact the Immortal Tranquility Department and build a good relationship with them. After the Yonko has been destroyed, this kind of half-hearted sect will no longer exist. The three Heavenly Lords will turn all the people in the sect into mortals and let them taste what it means to be a banished immortal. The leading cultivators' spiritual waves became sharp. Now, some of the 72 mysterious sects of the immortal Tao, such as the Wuji sect, have already been destroyed, and some have been crippled by Gu Taxian. Only a few of them are left. Even the head of the Heavenly Heaven-Earth sect was forced to kneel down by Gu Taxian. Even his son was killed. How tragic, Jian Yidao said. After this event, the structure of the mysterious sects of the immortal Tao will also change. Of course, we're still waiting here for an opportunity to nurture Yu Huang and the others. In the future, the Yu family will be the main representative of Baoyu Nation. After all, after the Yonko is destroyed, the gods will return, and the Yu family will still be the descendants of the Jade deity. At this time, the sound of someone kowtowing came from outside the secret room. Junior Yu Huang greets the immortal elders. "I'm here to listen to your teachings. Come in." The leading cultivator waved his hand, and Yu Huang, wrapped in light, landed in front of him. "You've cultivated the mysterious technique I taught you well. Today, I'll give you a dragon creation pill to raise your aptitude to the level of a peerless genius. In the future, you must take control of Baoyu Nation. Understood?" "Yes." Yu Huang was overjoyed. He kowtowed again and again. Then, a look of hatred appeared on his face. "Yu Hanlu, you took everything from me. This time, I'll take it all back with interest. When my plan succeeds, I'll cripple your martial arts and degrade you to the lowest level of prostitutes. I won't let you reincarnate." The hatred in Yu Huang's heart was hard to quell. Feeling this kid's hatred, the other cultivators nodded. Gu Qinsha sneered in his heart and retreated without a sound. Sure enough, this Baoyu Nation's son, Yu Huang, was a disaster. Of course, he wouldn't be able to cause any big waves. It was very likely that the Eternal Extermination Alliance formed by the three heavenly sovereigns came looking for him. These people didn't dare to make a move now, but once the demon disaster broke out, Baoyu Nation would immediately be under their control. Interesting. Gu Qinsha's eyes flashed. He heard something interesting. In that case, I'll drive the tiger to swallow the wolf. Whoosh! He returned to the surface of the sea. This time, he didn't go down to talk to the head of Xing Qiongshi. Instead, he took out a talisman and burned it. Then, he sank to the bottom of the sea and reached a jade mountain. He sat in meditation and absorbed immortal qi to condense the third golden core in his body. Every 7 days, he could condense a golden core in his body and store it in his acupoints. After 3 days and 3 nights, he had condensed half of his third golden core. Suddenly, the seawater parted and a person appeared in front of him. It was a young man who was about 16 or 17 years old. His innate gang qi parted the seawater with ease. It was Tai Mengdi, the son of the headmaster of Tai Fantasy Sect. Brother Chun Sha burned the talisman we agreed on. It took me 3 days and 3 nights to reach here from Tai Fantasy Sect. Is there any urgent matter? Tai Mengdi asked with a smile. Of course there is. Gu Chun Sha also smiled. This is related to the survival of Tai Fantasy Sect. After I heard about it, I immediately burned the talisman to discuss it with Brother Mengdi. Brother Mengdi's cultivation base has progressed so fast. In just a few years, you've already condensed a primordial spirit. Currently, Tai Mengdi's cultivation base was at the 14th change of the primordial spirit. When he fought with Gu Qinsha a few years ago, he was only at the 9th change of the Dao realm, Glass Jade Body. In just a few years, he had advanced 5 realms. This was a miracle in the Xianmen Dao sect. In just 8 or 9 years, Gu Qinsha had gone from a normal person to an immortal cultivator of the Dao realm 19 transformations, size manipulation. However, he had gone through countless fortuitous encounters and things that could only be chanced upon. Only then did he reach his current level. The main thing was that the Heavenly Talisman Emperor had even changed the Heavenly Sacrificial Talisman Decree and bestowed it to him secretly. As for common cultivators, even if they were geniuses or unparalleled geniuses, they would cultivate step by step. In 8 to 10 years, it was already amazing for them to advance 1 or 2 realms. It was indeed a miracle for Tai Mengdi to advance so many realms in just a few years. My cultivation is not worth mentioning. Tai Mengdi sighed. I already know about Brother Chench's fame. In the demon region, you killed Xiao Yin, Wang Ji, and defeated them together with Jing Fanxing and Gu Hua. Such battle prowess is something I can't even compare to. Gu Chench's fame had already spread. It had been a year since Jing Fanxing and the others had died. Such a long time was enough for this news to spread to the Xianmen Dao sect. I heard some news just now. Gu Chunsha suddenly sent a thought into Tai Mengdi's sea of consciousness. This meant that Tai Mengdi had seen the discussion of those cultivators and immortals in the secret room with his own eyes. Damn it, they actually want to annihilate my Tai mystical sect. The 3 heavenly venerables are too much. After Tai Mengdi received this thought, his face turned green from anger. What wild ambitions! My Tai mystical sect has always been low-key, cultivating behind closed doors. To think that we would be annihilated just because we disrespected the 3 heavenly venerables. These people are too arrogant. I know that the cultivator who cultivated the Bodhisattva round light is called Li Rongguang. He is the adjudicator of the 3 heavenly venerables. Every 60 years, he would come out to walk in the immortal Tao and adjudicate some disputes between sects, rewarding the good and punishing the evil. This is the method that the 3 heavenly venerables use to control the immortal Tao. So this person is the adjudicator of the 3 heavenly venerables. Gu Chansha also knew that the 3 heavenly venerables took in a few disciples called adjudicators to settle disputes between the Xianmen Dao sects. They were equivalent to the law enforcement team. Li Rongguang's cultivation base is extremely powerful. I'm afraid it's 23 or even 24 changes. Tai Mengdi said, why? Brother Chen Sha wants to deal with them? That's right. Let's do something big this time and bury all these people. How about that? Gu Chen Sha said. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.